Well, it's we're live.
Are we live?
We are live,
We're live.
live, and arrive.
Live, live,
We
live.
never
Okay,
we
guys.
never decided on the
If you,
image to use.
um, I don't know. I like that one picture that Pixel Kitties came up with.
Which one
The
was that?
Twilight with the burning dress and all that.
Let me find this one then.
Okay, so guys, if you're listening to me, I'm going to sign in on the IRC right now. So just one moment.
So Pixel Kitty's dress Twilight, huh?
And you'll have to excuse me, but right after, well, I should say right before this whole convention happened, my computer died, so I'm on a little netbook.
Little baby computer. My voice is gone. Dang it.
All right, I'm in the chat. So, all right. Well, can people hear us?
I believe so.
Guys in the chat, can you hear us? Oh, they're all saying yes. Wonderful. All right, everybody. Oh my goodness. All right, so everybody's asking. Wow. Okay, we're getting a lot of people. That's expected.
Yeah, it's be fun.
It's gonna be okay. So let me just start off here by saying that my voice is still a little bit gone because this convention was by far the most difficult event that I've had to handle, or work with handling, I should say, because it wasn't just me. But it was very, very stressful. And one of the things when you have a situation like this is that you have to talk to everyone, which means to use your voice like crazy. So I do want to let everybody know that I'm going to answer what I can. I came in and did this because I know there are still questions about this event. Everybody's wondering what the hell happened in Vegas. I don't know everything, but I do know a hell of a lot. I can say that. I know quite a bit. So I can try and clarify and answer what I can answer. There are going to be questions you guys are going to have that I just don't know the answer to. Like, for example, I can start off right now and say I had nothing to do with the finances for Las Pegasus Unicon. I had no idea where the money they took in went. I don't know what they paid to who. I get the feeling they didn't pay very much to anyone, but I don't know. I honestly don't. I'm not a part of that. I was never a part of that. So the only thing I know is what happened to donation money and who didn't get paid what, or who was screwed, or who was burned. That's the stuff I know.
I think I got an image we can use actually.
You do?
Yeah, let me find it right here.
Okay.
Here we go.
I can't see it yet, so I'll wait to see it. But um, so in the end, like I said, I only know what I only know. And if I say I don't know something, that's because, again, I was not a part. The only part I played, or that EFN played in organizing this convention, was in promoting it before it happened, broadcasting it while it happened, and I had a little bit to do with the scheduling. So, like, I helped develop some of the ideas for some of the panels. But beyond that, the funding, the negotiations they had, the venue, all of that was them. We're completely separate. So I have no say over anything to do with anything like that. So I just want to make that really clear because I've had a lot of people come up and ask me questions like, well, what about what about this? Can why can't they do this? Why can't they do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. How much did they pay to the hotel? I have no idea. How much did they pay towards, the venue, AV crew? I don't know. I just don't. Because I've never been told. And I never asked because it wasn't my business at the beginning. What happened when you go into a convention, especially as a media group like myself, or if you look at Celestia Radio or Bronyville or EQD or any of the other groups that were there, because we were all there, our job is just to cover it. We come in, we bring our own equipment, and we cover it as best we can. But that does not mean that we work for the convention. In fact, quite different. We make sure that there's a professional separation just because stuff like this might happen, and that's not our responsibility. You guys might remember BronyCon last summer, and there was that light that caught fire. That was hilarious. And we went out and we filmed the fire. We filmed the reaction. That's because we're media. We're news. So we're trying to keep a objective perspective. So yeah, I do coordinate and talk to the conventions beforehand, but I don't have any say over, you know, their financial decisions whatsoever. I see the picture.
I switched it up to the other one, but Rob had another one where it had an airplane made of money burning and flying to the ground.
That's just, oh my god. Wow. All right, so I think maybe the best way to go about this, and Saber, you think that are you in the IRC chat?
Yo, let me just get organized here real quickly.
Guys, again, I am sorry that if my audio sounds a little weird or if I'm a little bit slow to react, is because my computer, I'm running off of my backup netbook, which was never intended to do any of this. Right before this convention happened, I went and tweeted and complained about this. My computer exploded.
Exploded? Is that even a word?
All right, I just got a question. I should tell people that pretty soon here, I'm going to ask that you PM questions, private message questions to Saber, not me, because my computer might explode. But Starstream asks, I want to ask what happens right now. You guys still stuck in Vegas? The answer is no. I'm home. I'm back in Minneapolis, and people got home. If somebody is still stuck in Vegas, I'd like to know, because I think that travel was separate from the expenses they were supposed to be covering. So,
before we start draft and go ahead on to this, let me do a quick check. Draft, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, hey, live stream, how do we sound right now?
Okay, Wubbin Tolerates asking, what happened to the VAs and how were they affected? That's a big question. So here's the answer. The VAs, okay, any of the show staff that appear at conventions, they do so by arranging with the convention beforehand. This has been true of every convention that's happened so far. So BronyCon, Everfree Northwest, Carolina Gardens, Equestria LA, all of these other conventions, everybody has always made arrangements in advance. When you want to book a voice actor convention, you have to talk to their agent. That's just normal. That's how things are done. That's their job. The agent's job is to deal with that. Conventions standardly cover travel, accommodations, and then appearance fees in a very basic sense. And none of those things were covered by the convention in this case. They were completely... on Saturday night, they found out they were going to get nothing. They were paying out of pocket to that point because they were told they were going to be reimbursed, and that didn't happen. So they basically, all these guests that showed up had nothing given to them whatsoever. They agreed to appear at an event and to pay out of pocket because they were promised they were going to be paid back, and that didn't happen. So, on a basic level, we raised $12,000 during that drive for the show guests. $12,000 plus there was about $3,000 raised from discounted autographs and pictures, etc., in the actual autograph room at the event as well. So a grand total of $15,000 was raised. That $15,000 almost pays for the travel and accommodations for all of the VIPs that showed up. I should say, and by VIPs I mean show staff. So the voice actors, writers, that stuff. My understanding from my discussion with agents is that about 90% of those expenses were covered by that. And you have to understand that the agents and the voice actors are unbelievably grateful for what the community did to help them out. I mean, I think it was something we needed to do because these guys create the show we love. And as a community, it's our responsibility to make sure that they're taken care of. It's not our responsibility to bail out conventions. We never did that. Every dollar that was raised did not go to Las Pegasus. Not a single cent of it went to them. It went straight towards one agent who agreed with all the other agents to distribute the funds. This was actually an unprecedented meeting of the agents. So, when you guys...
for a quick second?
Yeah.
The live stream, I had to re-log into it, and it froze on me. Like, I can't log in at the moment with my screen or password. So, if you all want to ask me questions, and maybe one of our moderators can do this, go to my Twitter. I know it's kind of a hassle, but go ask me questions there, and I can sift through them and find them for draft and ask him.
Yeah. I mean, so they can still hear me, right?
They can still hear you. You're fine. I just can't log into the stream and actually look at what people are typing about. So, as you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So they're entirely grateful. The money that was raised, like, and you guys saw this. We did this on the live stream. We live streamed us sending the money to one of the agents' accounts on PayPal. And I should clarify this too, because there's been some questions about this too. What happened was a last minute thing. We needed a last minute instantaneous way to try and bail people out. And so we needed the best possible method, which was business accounts on PayPal. You can talk to all the other media groups. Saturday night at I guess it was Sunday morning at 1 a.m. Saber was there. I was there. Not Chef Sandy, Apple Cider. Chef Sandy wasn't at the convention, unfortunately, but Apple Cider was there. Sathisto, let's see, PK, Serial, everybody was there. All these media groups were in a room with all of the agents. And we were told, okay, the VAs and the show staff guests are screwed. The convention decided not to pay them. They just couldn't. And so at that moment, we needed to come up with a system to try and raise donations. That was something that they said, look, is there anything the community can do? What do you think we should do? And all of the different media groups all at once said, we can start a drive. That's why the next morning you saw that there was a unified announcement across all the different groups.
That was amazing, by the way.
Yeah. We needed to have an account ready to go. So the only business accounts we knew of, or the only business account we had set to go that was not an agent's account, was a business account that one of the members of EFN had just set up already. Now, why is it important to have a business account? Because if you get a ton of donations on a regular PayPal account, PayPal will shut it down because it will think it's a fraud. Business accounts have a little bit more flexibility with that, and that takes time to set up, and that takes registration and confirmations, etc. So we used the account that was available. Once we had set that up, we were in war mode. So we were basically, do this. We didn't have time to, set up another account or something. We had to use what we had. After the day of the Sunday of donations, I talked to all of the different agents. I said, look, we've amassed this sum from the community. These guys have done what they can. What do we do with this money? Because I'm not responsible for that money. I'm like, EFN, we were using the account as a tool, but we didn't want to have anything to do with the distribution of the money. So the agents talked together and they agreed on making a payment towards an account that is operated through John Delancey's agent, who everybody respects. And that account, that business account, again, because business PayPal accounts are hard to set up, that also concurrently was Robert Picardo's fan club account. Now, originally that wasn't supposed to get out publicly, but of course when you're live streaming the donation of a ton of money, it's hard not to get an image out there. That agent had talked to Robert Picardo. And if you guys don't know who Robert Picardo is, he's an actor. He's actually awesome. He's my favorite character from Star Trek Voyager. He was the Doctor. And Robert Picardo said, yeah, by all means, because the Star Trek community has had events that have done this too. Star Trek conventions that go belly up and nobody has any, funds and everybody's screwed, burned. And so Robert Picardo said, no, I've been there. Please use the account if it makes things easier. And so that was really generous on his part. I mean, he's an awesome guy. So we made that donation, and they got out there, and they were like, well, wait a second. Why is the money being donated to Robert Picardo? It wasn't. The account was being used by his agent, who happens to also be John Delancey's agent, to distribute the funds to all of the agents so that each of the different guests got their travel expenses covered at the very least. So and actually I can announce this. This is kind of cool. I'm going to be interviewing Robert Picardo about this later this week. and I don't know if that's going to be live. I think it's going to be recorded, but we're going to get that out there, so you'll get to hear from him about it, because he knows about the community, and he really thinks it's awesome what we're doing, and it was really generous on his part. Again, business PayPal accounts are hard to set up, and given that this was a minute by minute sort of thing, we had to work with what we did. So, yeah. Anyway, I talked to him on the phone about this, and he's so cool. I mean, he's such a cool guy, and I have to admit, I was geeking out a little bit when I was talking to him because I love the doctor. So, anyway, I hope that kind of clarifies a little bit, but like I said, we'll be having a quick interview with him coming out later this week so that you guys can hear from him about it too, so that there's no questions about this, because it is a complex situation, and I know there are all these weird questions about it. All right. I've just ranted a bunch, didn't I, Saber?
Oh, wait, we weren't even live yet.
Shut up.
Want ready for some questions?
Yeah, I can take some questions.
All right, we got a ton of them. And one of the most popular questions so far, and for my fun apparently, is what do you think about the press release from Las Pegasus Unicon?
I think the press release from Las Pegasus Unicon doesn't help anything. I mean, honestly, I think that what they need to do, and I got a phone call right before this stream because they knew they know I'm doing this. In fact, I suspect they're listening right now.
Hi, Sandy.
Well, it's not just Sandy, but I think they need to come clean about all of their finances. They need to explain where the money where the money went. Like, where did the money how much was paid to the hotels? How much wasn't paid to the hotels? How much was paid towards the voice actors and the writers or whatever? Where did the money that came in go? Because there are a lot of questions. One of the saddest things that I've heard about is the people who bought the package deals, like the founders package deals. They paid $1,500 or $1,200, and part of those deals was that you were going to get a comped room, sometimes a suite. If you bought a package deal, you got a comped suite. Well, the way they had it set up, those rooms weren't comped. Even though these guys paid out of pocket for a room, they had to pay again for the room. And that's actually something else I want to address really quickly, which is that people are wondering, well, how is it that these guests are getting, and these VIPs are getting charged for the rooms? The Riviera Hotel, the venue, did something utterly and completely unprofessional, and something that I think that is grounds for lawsuits, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but every time you have, this is a little bit behind the scenes when it comes to conventions. If you're a convention and you're setting aside a block of rooms, let's say for your staff or for VIPs or whatever else, and it's a comped rate, it's a special rate, the way it works is that you have a card associated with that account, or some payment method associated. And most of the time, they'll charge at least half of the cost of those rooms to that card as a security thing. Now, rooms often have incidental charges that are applied to cards. In this case, at the Riviera, they charged $100 per room for incidentals. That means stuff like busting the TV, which hopefully you don't do, or let's say having room service, whatever else. That's normal. So when everybody came in for Las Pegasus, they, including EFN, they asked, okay, we need a card for incidental fees, and that would be refunded afterwards. So we used our cards, and the guests that had the packages used their cards to pay for incidental fees. And the Riviera, once they realized they weren't going to get paid by Las Pegasus, decided to charge the incidental cards for the rooms. I believe it's illegal. I spent half an hour arguing with their management, and I asked them, I said, how can you do this? Because I actually looked at the paperwork, and nowhere in the paperwork...
I loved your example you used, because you got into it with the manager about how corrupt this was, and how ridiculous that they
you were there for that.
You said, it's like me going to a bar saying, drinks are on her, and then her being like, I didn't say that. So it's not fair that you can just trick all these people. I don't know. It's very unprofessional by the Riviera.
No, it's beyond unprofessional. It's criminal. I had a what is it? I had I had a long rant at them. But when I signed in, when I came into the Riviera on the Wednesday night and I put down my credit card, I said explicitly, this is not for the room cost. The room is covered by the convention, right? And they went and they talked to their management and they said, oh, yeah, no, it's covered by the convention. This is just for incidentals. And I looked at the paperwork because I'm careful about this stuff. The paperwork said it was for incidentals, and they still charged my card. The thing is, I asked them, I said, how can you do this? Why don't you charge the card that was associated with the convention? They said, we never had one. This is unheard of. Okay.
That's just absolutely insane. I don't even know.
They never had one. They were never given a card or a form of payment or anything. And I would love to know how they made this arrangement.
Yeah, but promises?
It's somebody either was bribed or somebody was like promised something. I have no idea. It's inexplicable. By the way,
let me toss him one.
It's inexplicable. No, I got to finish this really quick, Saber. This is an inexplicable occurrence. This is something that is grounds for lawsuit. I think that it's frustrating to me because I told them, I'm like, what kind of a business do you think you are? You know, you're basically illegally charging people for rooms. I had people suggest that I cancel my credit card, so that the room wouldn't get charged or whatever. But the thing is, part of paying for incidentals and confirming the card was writing down a street address. So they have my street address. So if I cancel the card, they could still send a bill my way or try and pursue it legally or something. And between you guys and me, the cost of lawyers and lawsuits and everything else would be way more than what I would have paid for the room in the first place. I don't know, I don't know if there was a real good solution here, but this happened to everyone. This happened not just to me. This happened to the Kriebers. This happened to the McKillips. This happened to Mark Oliver. This happened to everybody who was staying at that hotel. Every person who was supposed to be compensated. And it happened to all of the musicians. It happened to the, It happened to the package holders.
Every single person. Every single person was in the same boat. And that's one of the cool things is that there's a common threat that emerged, and all the networks and the convention people were there who rallied together to do their best to soften the blow. I mean, my hat off to those people. I mean, it was an amazing sight. It was amazing. It goes to show you that I know we all get on our soapbox saying this fandom's, la-di-da, cool, being a brony, fun. But let's be real here. These are some good people who rose to the challenge when they didn't have to, and that's mighty respectful.
I should say, too, that one thing I'm afraid of is that the entire Las Pegasus staff is going to get demonized. And the truth is that, like, the security guards... and
good people.
There were good people. Like, there's a guy named Drew Flashy who was involved in programming. He didn't have anything to do with finances or any of that. So don't blame everyone who worked for Las Pegasus. Let's blame the people who are culpable. And there are three people.
Well, go ahead and tell.
And I don't mean blame. I mean let's question the people who are culpable. Because we need answers. I'm going to say this very clearly. Sandy, Eddie, and the Riviera, if you're listening, we need answers. All of us. Because you left us high and dry. And it's not just me. And I mean, that's the thing, too. When I say high and dry, I mean, we all got burned in it. And until answers are forthcoming, you are going to continue to be by what the facts are. And right now, the facts are looking like a scam. In fact, I would call this a Ponzi scheme. That's the way it appears right now. And I got a call right before this live stream from Eddie, who is Sandy's husband. He said, don't spread rumors. I said, I'm not spreading rumors. I'm telling facts. This looks and stinks of a Ponzi scheme. And until there's other proof otherwise, I'm going to explain what I mean by that. If you guys don't know what a Ponzi scheme is, a Ponzi scheme is basically an investor will say, hey, I can take, say, $20,000 of your money and I can put it in this amazing investment and you will get a great dividend off of it. And, you'll get this great return and you should totally invest. And so let's say this poor person, the person getting scammed, I should say, invests that chunk of money and then Ponzi or whoever else will pay out from the money that was invested, not from returns on the investment, but from the money that was invested, dividends, fake dividends. And they'll use that information to convince other people to invest. Well, this convention convinced a lot of people, a lot of guests and agents to show up. and a lot of media groups by saying, yeah, we're going to comp your rooms, we're going to cover your travel, and we're going to, we're going to pay you a certain amount, not in my case, but for the VIPs, we're going to pay an appearance fee because they're taking time off of work to be there. I mean, in a sense, they would lose money on work lost or work missed, etc. So it's normal. That's just understood. And they took the money that they had and kept things visibly afloat as far as they could until it came time, crunch time, to pay the people that were owed and to pay for the rooms and to pay for the travel, at which point it imploded. But the problem is that they got tons of money that came in from ticket sales and from especially like the VIP dinner. That money had to have gone somewhere. And I was never involved in, registering things with the venue or the VAs or any of that. I wasn't, so I don't know what their costs were. But until they detail what their costs were and what was paid, and until that's confirmed by like the agents and the venues, etc., this stinks. This stinks of a scam. I mean, and I think they'll have to agree with me on that. I think anybody would agree with me. I mean,
there's definitely some foul play going on here.
Something's wrong. On a very base level, something is wrong. And it's not just that they didn't have enough money. It's that it's things like not having an account set up with the Riviera for the comped rooms, and the Riviera going along with that and telling people that the rooms were already covered and then being charged, and then people getting charged. Something is deathly wrong. And until more information comes from the actual convention people about the numbers, look for numbers, people, and look for dollars, and look for confirmation too, because they don't need to just have them put that information out there. It needs to be confirmed by the people who are owed, because they can say whatever they want. If it's not confirmed by the people who are owed, then it's just speculation.
May I add something in?
Yeah.
And this is my personal experience. Well, I walked up to the counter to check out because I wanted to jump ship since everything was sinking. I spoke to one of the ladies who was working the counter, and she said that I couldn't, that I was getting pretty much, I had to pay for everything, for my hotel room and everything and stuff. And she had a piece of paper that said, and she even told me that she was told by Sandy that they can't pay for it, that the hotel has to ask us to pay for it, that Sandy came to them and said, make sure that they pay and we don't.
Now this is something I was specifically asked to say, is this a rumor or not?
No, it's true.
And what I mean is that the con organizers, they called me up and said, look, this is a rumor. And I said, no, this is something I had to go through, and everybody who was told that we were going to be given comped rooms had to go through. A lot of people saw that paper, exactly, Bacon Master. I'm watching the chat.
What color? I can't read the chat right now, but what color was the ink on that paper? I want to know. Well, probably people start making up colors. Yeah. It was blue. It was blue ink. Therefore, we are right.
Well, look. In the end, I don't want to... Okay, this stinks bad. And when I say it stinks of a Ponzi scheme, it has the telltale signs of one. But the reason why it has those signs is because of the lack of transparency from the organizers. Now, they made a post earlier today saying that they came up short and that they're not trying to be secretive and they didn't run away. Okay. Then what they need to do is provide the information. Because when you come and you say, all right, you lost the right to be secretive about your finances the second you screwed over an entire community. You lost that right. You need to come clean or expect people to think you're scamming us. Because that right now is the way people are seeing it. I mean, I don't think I'm wrong here on this, Saber. I don't think that no, I'm asking too much.
You're not. You're asking for the truth. And you know what? This family deserves it. And let's just drop the label together. And as far as basic justice goes for people, then there's some answers there's some questions that need to be answered. So this has nothing to do with the Bernie label. This has to do with justice.
You know what?
This is justice that needs to be answered.
Well, it's not. It's just. As you can imagine, I've been going over this over and over again with so many people. I've been I get calls and messages. I had some heartbreaking moments, and I'm I'm a pretty stoic-looking fellow at conventions. I mean, I can laugh, but I don't generally get too emotional. People know that about me. But I had people like there's a guy I know named Carlos, who I hung out with a bit yesterday with the Krieber family because the Kriebers are awesome like this. And Carlos is 17 years old, and his family sent him from Mexico City to this convention under one of the founder packages. So they scrounged up their money, sent him there. He was supposed to have a hotel room, and they charged him. 17-year-old kid from Mexico City.
Oh my god! And on that note,
And it's just like, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh. I mean, when you look at it that way, it's like, it's a travesty. And I want to say too, like, I just got off the phone less than an hour ago with an agent, one of the big agents, and they were telling me, and I actually confirmed this with them, we are going to have a drive to help people. Not just the agents now are saying to me, look, what the community did for their clients, basically for the VAs, to cover those expenses was beyond and above the call, right? They're so, like, they feel indebted that they want to help, like, the musicians and the media groups that you know, paid out of pocket. Because I'll tell you guys, if I have the receipt for it, if you ever absolutely have to see it, all of the money that came in, every single cent went to the VIPs or the show staff. For example, I paid out of pocket and EFN paid out of pocket over $1,000 for our hotel rooms, etc. Now, that's nothing compared to some of these other groups, and it's really bad. It's really bad that, like, the founders who were given these comped packages that paid way more than that just for these packages. I should say too, like, they weren't just screwed on the hotel. They were screwed on things like vendor bits. The dealers, I think, have been overlooked a little bit here. The dealers made an agreement with the convention. They said, we'll accept vendor bits. And vendor bits will then be cashed out at the end of the convention. So vendor bits are basically like a fake currency that the convention did. I thought it was okay, fun idea, but whatever. What happened was that the vendor bits became worthless. So if you spent, like Kefka Floyd here in the chat, who's an awesome artist, on that first day of the convention, if one of the ticket holders or whatever came up with vendor bits, well, you would take them as payment in good faith. And part of these packages that people bought, a big portion of that money was supposed to be for vendor bits that they could use in the dealer hall. Well, suddenly the dealers, are given a bunch of pieces of paper that aren't worth anything because they're not going to get repaid. So the dealers got really burned on this too.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, they walked away in debt. Everybody got burned. And I know there's a couple of charity drives going on right now to compensate those people who got screwed over so hard. And not just the people from the show, but community people who are musicians and artists and folk like that.
Yeah.
One of those is the LPU Relief League. I lost the link. Just go to bernies.com and you'll find it there. It's in the forums.
I should say, okay, so I want to make a couple of quick statements too, and then maybe go back to more questions, because this is supposed to be Q&A.
I have a ton of questions, like literally 90.
Well, I'm willing to stay around for a long time here and answer what I can. So
get some coffee.
Yeah, people to settle in. I'm making some general statements right now.
Come on, guys, take a knee.
What is this, World War II?
No, it's soccer. World War II.
Take a knee.
Who does that in World War II?
Yeah, it's like in the movies.
All right, we're going to invade Normandy. Take a knee, guys.
Take a knee.
Bring it in.
We're landing on the beach. Take a knee.
Draft. It's called sports. Ever heard of them? Debate doesn't count.
Anyway, I don't make my debaters take a knee. Come on. Oh yeah. Okay. Inside joke. Josie, take a shot. I'm a speech and debate coach. Anyway. What was I even talking about? I got derailed. Ask me a question.
All right, here's a question. Did the LPU staff really run away?
Okay. They were not around very much on the Sunday. I saw them twice. I think they kind of sequestered themselves away from the main convention. They were not available when they needed to be. I don't think they went on the run. Like, I don't think they all got in, like, some, like, clown car or something and sped off into the sunset. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's what happened.
Lock the door!
Run! And there's, like, papers flying behind them. No, that was not what happened. They were not available. At the beginning of the Sunday, I think it was me, and I think I had Bajati with me, because basically we knew this convention was falling apart. So a group of us who have done conventions before, I mean, I don't work for conventions, but I do media or whatever, so I've worked with so many of them. I pulled Bajati, who, by the way, is one of the heads of Everfree Northwest. He's in the chat right now. I coordinated with Karen Padilla, who is the head of Equestria LA, Jonathan Dietz, who is the head of Fiesta Equestria. We were all there. A group of us went into the main, like, room where Sandy was sitting, just dumbstruck in the morning, and I just said to her, I said, Sandy, we're taking over this convention. We're taking this over because, the guests shouldn't have to pay for this mess up. And unless you guys have something in particular that you need us to, you need us to know right now, we're going to go and handle this. And she just nodded. And then I went, and I should say later on, apparently Kat Whitney was talking to her, and she put Kat Whitney technically in charge of staff, and I know Kat did a lot of work too.
Here's some information, one for myself and one from Starlight. For myself, Ray's Best and I were walking around at the end of the convention. It was like 7 p.m. or so, and we passed the registration desk, and we saw Sandy and some other folks standing around. They just gave us the glare. So, I don't know, Brace and I are a bunch of goofballs. We have nothing to do with this. And then, what's up?
Well, I was going to say, after most of the donations came in, I was running from the upstairs skybox area where we had a media little area set up, downstairs, and as I was running downstairs, I ran into Sandy and one of the representatives from the Riviera. And Sandy was asking me to take the donation money and pay it to the Riviera, and I said no. I said the money that was made for the donations, again, and it wasn't in my account. I should make that clear. This was not my account. This was a business account run by one of the EFN staffers who, as you saw on screen with everybody there, we donated the entirety of what we got directly to the agents, and the agents will confirm that. What was it? She was asking for that money in it, and then the hotel rep in front of everyone goes, "We're owed $18,000." And I literally said, "That's not my problem. That's not the community's problem, because the community donated for the show staff." And I told that to Sandy, and I said, "The community donated for the show staff, and this money is going to them. That's what they donated for. If I put it anywhere else, that would make me a fraud." You know what I mean? Like, and I just left. I was like,
Here's
that's
some
it.
Information. I was told by Starlight, who's one of the guys who runs the Sweet Apple Acres convention in Tennessee. That's when we pop it up here in Nashville in a couple of months.
I'm looking forward to that.
He said that Sandy was rumored to be, or he knows that she was hiding in the room that's next to the registration desk. So she was staying there throughout Sunday.
Like it wasn't like we were hightailing it from Mexico or something, but they disappeared. They disappeared. What is it? In a sense that they just weren't involved in putting out fires or doing anything on that Sunday. It was really a team effort between everybody who was there to try and make things work. The schedule got thrown out the window. I want everybody to know, if you were at the convention on Sunday, first of all, none of the guests were compensated by the convention, on Saturday. But they were there in good faith that they were going to be. On Sunday, they knew they weren't. So everyone who was on those panels, all those VAs who showed up, and even the ones who weren't, because they were in the autograph room too, nobody bailed. They all stood around because they believe in the community that much.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Or actually, let me find it here.
Well, while you look that up, I have been getting a question, and I'm going to just say specifically it's from another Luna, I believe.
Another Luna.
No, another Lurker.
Oh, Lurker, another Luna.
Okay. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one.
Can I ask a question? I found it.
Yeah.
All right, this is, and actually I've been wanting to ask this question myself. This one's from Apple Cider from Bernieville, actually.
Okay.
He wants to know about the rumors of the Riviera Hotel and agents reaching for the cash box, if that's true or not.
The Riviera doing that?
There is apparently rumors floating around that people from the Riviera Hotel and apparently agents were trying to get into the cash box from the convention and get their money, which I never saw that myself, so I wasn't sure what your take on it is.
I didn't witness that. What I know is that, given how the Riviera's been behaving, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, but I don't know. I didn't see any of that. That's one I don't know.
That's curious.
Well, somebody, I'm going to try and find it here. Somebody asked me a question that's important. Somebody said that it was asking, and there have been accusations by notorious people that I'm trying to use this situation to curry power. Get over it yourself. Get over yourself. We're all trying to work to make this as good of a thing for the community. I would say for the good of the community, let's all work together. Can we, please? Because I don't want to be in this position.
The fact
I really don't. This is not something I want to be. Let me make something clear here. I don't want to ever, like, I was in a position where I could help, but I wasn't the only one. There were a whole bunch of people who helped. I think I'm the most public face of it because I'm the one who sits there and hosts panels, or that I run EFNs, so there was the EFN stream, so people think, okay, well, he's the one in charge of everything. I wasn't in charge of everything. I helped coordinate things, but I'm not in charge of everything. Why in the world would anyone want to put themselves in this position of stress? And I think it's disappointing that people will spread those kinds of accusations to me and other people, because this is a moment where the community came together. And if you're making accusations like that, you're trying to drive us apart again, and that's entirely not what this community is about.
One thing
I think that answers that.
I want to toss something out there too. As is before, I was very impressed the fact that like other networks and conventions and everybody pulled together against a common threat. That was really awesome, and the fact that the MLP boards have been doing their homework and digging for information as well and compiling it, that's really awesome. I mean, when you got /MLP helping you out, then you know that this fandom is coming together for a good cause.
Yeah. Okay, I need to repeat. If you're sending questions, please tweet them to Saber.
Oh, I got a ton.
Don't send them to me in the IRC, because I am in the IRC and I'm watching the chat, but my poor little computer.
Little baby computer.
I'm so happy I have a smartphone now. You have no idea. Actually, you do have an idea.
I
Saber
do.
saw me there. What was I doing most of the convention?
Taking pictures of your duck face?
It's true. Me, Josh Dean, and John Fulner. Lots of duck face.
All right.
What's the shoot me a question.
This is an interesting one. Let me find it. I just lost it. Who pulled the fire alarm? Because that did happen, and there are rumors around that saying that fire alarm was pulled for people to get into the cash box and make out.
I have
make out with it. Make off with it. Some of us like making out with inanimate objects.
I have no idea. I was up on stage when it went off. I was hosting the panel, and the alarm went off, and I think the first thing I said is, "Oh no, not BronyCon summer again."
Fire Nation's back. The Fire Nation.
I know that fireman John Fulner and myself helped escort people outside. I think what happened, it wasn't a pulled fire alarm. I think somebody accidentally went out an emergency exit. That sort of thing happens at conventions. It was a fluke. So I don't think there was cash box thievery going on at that time at all, or for all I know, not at all. So I think that's conflating two things, because remember, that was Saturday before everyone knew that they weren't going to get paid compensation for what they were promised. So that was before that. I don't know, beyond that.
All right, let me find another one. All right, what do you think about legal action that could be taken against LPU? Do you feel like this is like a federal level court that's about to happen?
I think that I'm not nearly a lawyer enough to know the legal details, but I do know that myself and many groups had contracts that were broken. So there is a very clear legal basis for lawsuits. I don't know, though. I mean, again, lawsuits are expensive. to hire a lawyer to file everything. I mean, in the end, you could be out more than you're owed, unfortunately. So unless some sort of class action thing was brought together, I don't see there being, unfortunately, being any legal recompense. I think the best thing we can hope for right now is that a clear accounting of where the money went comes out, and that if there is money still floating in the wind that the convention has, that it's given to the people that it's owed to. Beyond that, I don't know.
Here's a question, and this is probably the most important question. How will this impact future conventions?
I've had that asked of me a million times. I think that it's going to change how, the conventions need to really... Okay, this is going to address something that's been floating around that I have not spoken about publicly yet. Everybody's got this feeling that there are too many conventions out there. And I agree. I think the market's saturated. I had at one point even considered starting a convention myself. I live in Minneapolis. We don't have a Midwest convention because Chicago shut down.
Draft on.
Not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. There are too many conventions, in my opinion. The market's saturated. And there are a lot of conventions that started up as these really positive local meetup groups. And the problem is that you'll have like these meetup groups to say, hey, we've got a great energy going on. We need to start our own convention. And, we're in this cool part of the country. We should start our own convention. And then, it's a lot of well-meaning bronies who are like barely in college or barely out of college who don't really have any organizational experience. And I hope that this convention's failures will be a wake-up call for people who want to just start a convention for the sake of starting a convention. Say, look, you need to know what you're doing. And beyond that, you need to be well invested. I mean, running a convention, you have to run it like a business. People believe that bronies are all about, love and tolerance. Well, that's true. But when it comes to dollars and cents, you have to run it like a business, and you have to be really responsible. And I think that what's going to happen is the agents and the guests are going to want to see proof of responsibility from more events. I think they gave a little too much faith to this event. I did too. I thought this was going to be a success. I mean, we promoted the hell out of this because I was certain this was going to be a success with all the great people that are going to be there. But, there was a lack of responsibility and there was a lack of professionalism in how money was handled, I think. And that had a real impact on how, on everyone. We all got burned. So for future conventions, I want to make something clear though too. When I say there are too many conventions, and I think a lot of us agree with that, I also want to say that there are some conventions that are right now around that are really good, and they're incredibly professional.
Agreed.
And they know what they're doing. I want to talk about BronyCon. I want to talk about Everfree Northwest, Equestria LA, Fiesta Equestria, even Cloudsdale, and, Sweet Apple Acres.
The ones who stepped in to help out on Sunday, you mean?
Yeah, the ones that came in, and they did. Hell, I saw the head of Cloudsdale Congress carrying boxes. I mean, that tells you something. There are some very well-established conventions that rock and that are really that know what they're doing and have in the past paid all their guests and had their things covered and had a professional relationship with professional venues. Those things need to be assumed for conventions from now on. And I think that, I think that what's going to happen because of this is that it's going to really make conventions take a moment and think about what they can do to prevent this kind of a mess. And in a sense, that's a silver lining, isn't it? I mean, you're learning from other people's mistakes. But it also, I think, needs to, for the smaller conventions, needs to make you think for a second, okay, is this event that I'm planning for July of 2014 that hasn't happened in the middle of nowhere, is this a good idea or not? And if it is, there are two types of conventions, I should say, too. I'm going into a little bit of an area that I've talked about behind the scenes, but not in front of the scenes very often. you've got two types of conventions in this fandom. There are the big name ones, like we know BronyCon, Everfree Northwest, and and EQLA. Those I could name them all, please. Later on, they're going to be like, "You didn't mention me." I'm like, "No, I'm just giving examples." And they shoot for large numbers of people to attend, and they have very professional venues. And so they expect a large number of people. The people show up. They pay their bills when they need to be paid. Everyone's happy. And there you go. There's also another type of convention out there, the smaller ones, the meetup groups, that then say, okay, well, we never anticipated being a large convention in the first place, and we're going to be a smaller event with just a few hundred people. So that's your trot cons, and that's your, brony fanfares, and your, those ones. And they never go to get the big VIP guests. They're just about the community. And that works for them too, because they never overextended their finances. I think what happened is I think that Las Pegasus did an all-in bet. They, in a very Vegas style, they made an all-in bet where they said, I get the feeling that sometime in January, when they had announced Tara and John and some other people, they already knew they were in trouble. I think they figured, okay, well, we're going to go into debt one way or another. We should get everyone here as an all-in bet to try and see if we can't get enough attendees to come out on top. And I mean, this is just my gut reaction. I haven't heard this from them or anyone, but this is just how I think it went down. They were basically a small event in terms of funding, and in terms of preparation, that tried to be a big event. And when they realized that ahead of time that they were in trouble, they decided, we're going to try and be the biggest event, but they still had small event funding or small event planning. And that's why it caused a big burn, if that makes sense. I
read a comment here, and apparently this fellow's name is Bitter, and he said that his mom is a retired lawyer for small claim courts, and he said that a lot of these people can file some class action lawsuits for false advertising, fraud, and obstruction of living quality.
Tell me about your mother.
All right, so false advertisement, fraud, and obstruction of living quality due to their charges incurred stranding people by surprise. So, stranding people by surprise. So,
they're saying that was a Freudian slip.
Oh, shut up! I love my pet dog, but
shut up.
But yeah, what do you, well, then that's not really a question, it's much of a statement, but yeah. Oh, here's a question. As far as Kiki's funds go, because wasn't the dinner supposed to go? What about that? What's the story behind Kiki and her funds?
This is another one of those painful things. I don't know what they did with those funds. I just don't know. Like, it really upsets me, because there was a lot of money raised by that celebrity dinner, and it was supposed to go to Kiki. And same with the charity auction at the end of Sunday. Now, please don't quote me, because maybe that money was donated properly. I don't know. And I know that a lot of people are upset. Like, I know Dusty's in the chat here, and he was hosting that, Coder saying we know where that auction money is. Good. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. But as for the money that was raised at that celebrity dinner, that money went straight to the convention, didn't it? I mean, you had to be on their list to be in there. I paid to be in that celebrity dinner, and so did 8-Track and everybody. And that money was supposed to go to Kiki. And it damn well better have. Because if it didn't, just the thought of it's really upsetting.
That's the lowest of the low kind of stuff.
I hope if Sandy and Eddie are listening right now, that they are really crunching numbers.
They need to be honest. They got to be honest now. That's the only way out of it. And atone for their sins.
They need to crunch numbers. They need to get the money to the people who need it. They need to get the money to Kiki. Because Kiki needs it. It just upsets me. I don't get upset very easily. This one really upsets me. So, right. Next question.
It's scrolling here.
You can't tell me you've run out.
No. There's so much. I'm just scrolling through the ones that are.
Well, just ask the next one. I mean, hell, I'll answer bad questions.
Did you get any good merch? And if so, do you have any pictures?
I actually didn't buy any merch at this, but I did set up for one.
What happened
Okay.
to my shirt you bought me?
I didn't buy you a shirt.
Yes, you did, the EFN shirt.
Oh, the one that you like conveniently forgot and never wore throughout the entire convention.
I had khakis and everything planned for that.
You never wore your khakis. Don't even lie to me.
I did. I wore them.
Don't even lie to me.
I wore them to bed.
All right. Let's say something positive. Chaotic Brony is a really cool jewelry maker, and he makes like engraved stuff. And he asked me if I ever wanted to custom something to, that he could take orders, as a commission thing. I asked him, excuse me, let me just belch on the live air.
We only have 550 people. 550. Okay, this is a great time for me to promote my new album, guys.
It's called Lightning Hoof.
It's called Dancing with Lightning. Oh, my voice is gone. All right,
let's keep it. Let's keep it. I basically I have an old sterling spoon I found. I'm gonna mail it to Chaotic Brony, and he's gonna melt it down and make it into something Luna. I'm gonna pay him to do that because that's cool. I didn't buy any merch. I was so busy I didn't have time. There was a lot of cool stuff there though. There were a lot of my favorite artists there. I mean, John Osaka was there. Like Screwloose was there. Kat Whitney was there. Obviously Kafka Floyd. I mean, just tons of people. There's Rozga is a really good friend of mine, and I had great artists there, and they all got burned, and it's sad. It's really sad. So, all right, next.
I'm still scrolling here. How will this, and this is probably the toughest question in my opinion to ask.
Okay.
How's Hasbro going to look at this?
I hope they don't. I don't know. They've been very standoffish when it comes to conventions for the most part. They, for a while their role was they wanted to make sure conventions were safe. They were really concerned about safety. They didn't want people going to conventions and have dangerous things happen. I'm hoping that what they'll see from this event is that even if a couple organizers make some big mistakes, that both the show creators and the community can rally to make the best of it, and that we can bounce back from it, because this community is too positive and too amazing. And I think that it embodies the values that Hasbro wants My Little Pony as a brand to embody. I mean, the show is about values. I mean, yeah, the show's about toys, but it's also about values. And I think that we saw a lot of, generosity at this event from the people. We saw a lot of, kindness, honesty from the people. Maybe not necessarily as much from the event as needs to be, but, and of course, friendship and there's definitely a lot of laughter. I mean,
I don't even watch the show.
Shut up. Point is that the values that the show is supposed to espouse are represented by this community, and it's represented by the people who helped out, and So I hope that's what they see, but I don't know what they'll see because I don't know what Hasbro thinks. I mean, if I hear anything that I can help with, I will. But yeah.
How do you think this is going to impact the people from the show, like the staff members and VAs and writers, and their attendance at future conventions?
They want to go to them. I've talked to them already about it. They're not mad at the community. It wasn't the community's fault. In fact, most of the people I talked to, I mean, they were upset, of course, that everybody's upset they got burned. But it's just like, this is like saying, if you're an artist who is in the artist alley and you got burned by the convention, I mean, would you go to another convention again? I think most of them would, because it's not about it's not the community's fault that this happened. And even when they were getting burned by the convention, the people were great. I talked to the writers and I talked to the VAs afterwards. Like, I talked to Michelle Krieber because we went and had dinner on Monday, and I was like, well, so how did you like the people there? I mean, aside from all the nonsense, she's like, oh, the people were great. It was really fun. So I think that's the important part, and I think these guys, most of them have been to enough conventions in the community that they know we're an awesome community, and they don't blame the community for this. And in fact, they're incredibly grateful that the community rallied together to help them out when they got burned by Las Pegasus. So I think they want to go to more. I think they really want to go to more. And in fact, I want to repeat that I've been in talks, and this was not my idea. They came to me with this. The agents are working with me, and I actually just got off the phone before the stream with Mike the Microphone. We're going to come together, and we're going to try and put together some sort of drive to help pay back costs to the community guests that were there, the musicians, the media, those guys that were there. And that's something that I don't have the details on, but this is something that the VAs and the agents want to do to give back to the community because we gave to them. That's what makes this fandom so great. No, but I mean it's what makes this fandom so great, that there's that interaction, and they definitely know that it's not the community's fault. So I hope that answers that.
Well, here's a shout out. Rob Bob, you know him. Good friend of ours.
Who is he?
Captain
Who is
America. He stepped in to do security stuff with some other volunteers on Sunday, and Rob sent me a Skype message saying to give a shout out to Kat and her security team. He said they did a good job, so give credit where credit is due, because they were part of the LPU team, but they did their job well. Kat and her team, security, did a good job.
Yeah, they did an amazing job. Well, Rob is a really good friend of mine. Like we spent some time, like he came in early before the event, and me, him, and Cowboy Dave and a group of people, Jay Holler and a group of people went cruising around Vegas, and we had just an amazing time. And he got me hooked to the Lord of the Rings slot machine.
How much did you lose on that again?
I think a grand total of $30. That's all right.
Swear it.
Swear it. He kept getting the Gollum bonus. He wasn't happy about that. But yeah, no, I mean, that's actually kind of what the most important part of this convention was, right? I mean, he says in the chat, Gollum is a punk. That's the most important part of this convention, was that people got to see their friends and hang out with their friends. And if anything, I think that my friendships with the people here, I mean, adversity kind of builds bonds, doesn't it? I mean, and this was rough, but we came through it a stronger community, I'd like to think.
By the way, I have a link to the current charity auction going on for the people that stranded out in LPU. Live stream mods, can you pause chat for 1 second?
Wait a second, what do you mean still? Wait, there's people still in Las Vegas?
That's a question I actually wanted to ask next.
I don't think that... Okay, for example, I know that some people's airfare was compensated. I can say that because mine was. It was not good airfare, but it was airfare. So, like, I got home fine. But I don't know if there are people still in Las Vegas, we need to get them home. I don't think that's the problem, because most of the people who came there, paid their own airfare. So, okay, what's the next question?
This is a really good question. Silent actually asked me.
Taylor!
With all the events that happened and how the media and the networks work together, what does this mean for EFR and their relationship? Not EFR, we're EFN now. How will this reflect the relationship with EFN and the other media networks in the future?
Well, I've always said I've never had anything against other media networks. I mean, I've always said that I think that the more media we've got to positively and professionally cover this fandom, the better. I mean, but I think what he's talking about is that we all were working together to get this donation drive going. Like, that was a unified thing. It was unified on the agent side, and it was unified on the media side, because we all recognized that the entire community was at stake. I think that's what he's asking about, because it was a fairly unprecedented coordination between the sites. But I just hope that when things are important like this, that people keep being able to put aside whatever differences there may be, and it seemed like that wasn't a problem. I mean, we put out the press release and we worked on this together. I mean, we had the live stream where we were showing people that we were donating the money. I mean, Seth was there. I called him up on his phone. I'm like, "Hey, Seth, we're gonna do this. You want to come here?" He's like, "Sure." And he showed up with a couch, and we did this. So yeah, I mean, I think that it just proves that we can get along.
It's be like a brony United Nations.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of like people have different approaches to how they want to address the fandom. I mean, EFN's going to do things the way EFN does things. EQD is going to do things the way EQD does things. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like saying, well, will you all agree that you like ponies? The answer is obviously yes. You know, would you all agree that it's important that the community that the community comes together for something important like this? The answer is yes. So yeah.
All right. Should vendors file complaints on PayPal at this point for the fees we paid for space? That's a question I just read.
I don't know if.
Do you have the authority to really answer that, or do you know?
Well, I don't know how they made their payments, and I mean, I don't know that PayPal is to blame for this. So filing a complaint against PayPal doesn't make sense to me. But, I don't know. I don't understand the question exactly. I mean, I think that they got screwed. I'll say this: the vendors got burned just like everybody else, and I have all sympathy for them because a lot of them were good friends. Okay, so vendors paid for their spaces up front. That's what Kefka Floyd is saying. So I don't know what they would file a complaint with PayPal about specifically.
Were the vendors kicked out right away when they had to evacuate the floor, or did they have time to get their stuff and leave?
They had only a little bit of time. They were originally supposed to have time clear through, like, I think 7 p.m. on Sunday. But the venue just said, nope, we're shutting it down by 5. And basically, they had to pack up pretty hastily and get out, which was, yeah, it's bad. Oh, there's Fetch Beer in the chat. Hey, man. Yeah, they didn't have time as much as they needed.
Did they have and I'm not sure about this question because I'm just going to ask it. Did LPU have the right to ask for a percentage of the profits from the vendors?
No, they don't have a right to ask for that.
I don't know what the situation is on that. I'm just reading the question.
No, they don't have a right to ask for profits for anything. They have lost the right for any kind of profiting off of this as soon as they broke their contracts with everyone. They lost that right.
Here's another question, and more of a lighthearted one. What were some of the highlights of the con for you?
I'll get to that in a second. I do want to. Somebody just told me that they were asked for 8% of. Like, okay, I see they wanted 8%. I don't know. Yeah, 8% from the vendors. Guys, if they send you requests, I'm going to say this from my personal experience. They broke all of their contracts. I don't think you owe them a damn cent. I don't think you owe the convention. Don't give it to them. If you feel like you had saved money aside for that role, you need something of, somewhere you want to put that money where it will go to good use. Stay tuned because, like I said, I'm working with the agents. I'm working with the microphone. I'm going to be working with everybody I can. I want to work with the other media groups too. I should say too. I'm going to be contacting EQD, DHN, Celestia Radio, everybody to try and get some stuff going. Anyway, highlights for the convention for me.
I just noticed something. Titanic 2 is trending on Twitter. Speak of the devil.
Celine Dion was playing at the Caesar's Palace. And I was walking by with, I think, Rob and them, and I go, near, far, and Dave looked over at me and goes, wherever you are, my heart will go on.
Oh my god. I mean, at one point I was in the VIP skybox, and I saw Leonardo DiCaprio hanging from the railing saying, I'll forever love you, and just let go. He only broke his leg, but he was fine.
Paul's in the chat, or Buzz is like, Celine's back. Yeah, it's like the most shameless pun advertising. Anyway, okay, highlights of the convention for me.
Yes, sir.
There were a lot. I was laughing a lot up on stage. That was fun. There were a lot of really funny comments made. I loved, actually, this is something that I don't think people maybe noticed as much as they should have. Mark Oliver, who plays Gustave Legrand, the Griffin, he's such a Shakespearean actor, and he did his own rendition of Now Is the Winter of Our Discontent in the voice of a Southern general. That was so cool. And I talked to him afterwards. I'm like, oh my god, I wanted to have a 3-hour conversation with him about Shakespeare, because the man is. And Mark Oliver, by the way, has an illustrious musical career as well as other roles, etc. Aside from his very brief appearance on Milo Pony, and he was just a really cool guy to meet. At the celebrity dinner, there was a really funny moment where M.A. Larson was slingshotting people with I said slingshotting.
After drunk.
No, the slingshotting people with marshmallows. That was really funny. There was I mean, and I looked over and I took a picture of him later, and he was like looking like like I didn't do anything. In the end, I think the biggest thing was just being able to meet, see all my friends or whatever. Me and Fulner went skipping through the halls. I mean, there were a lot of moments like that were just really, really funny. I had a great time just hanging out with my friends when I had the time to do so. I didn't have nearly enough time. Like, for example, I didn't have nearly enough time to hang out with you. I wish that there had been more time to do that, but there were a lot of good moments that were really funny and just... what is it? Barry Punch in the chat here. He's also known as Iron Hoofy. One of the people who runs Sweet Apple Acres. He had a line that he'll know what I'm talking about that I just couldn't handle laughing about. So anyway, there's a lot of little moments like that, and I'm sure they'll start coming out over the next few days.
All right, here's a question: when did you realize that the crap was about to hit the fan? Like, when did it occur to you that, oh my god, this ship's sinking?
As soon as they told it to us, late at night, when they pulled all of us aside into a side room. We were at a party with Dusty Cat, and they pulled me and all of the EFN crew that were there, and all of the media groups that were there, including Bronyville and EQD, and told us what was going on. And that's when I knew.
I'm just going to say it right now. I was in the room with you during that. And I was nerding out because I'm like, it's like a Bernie version of the Council of Elrond. It's like, Bernie's with the fandom.
He leans over.
Bernie's... Wait, go ahead.
He leans over to me and goes, swear it.
It's like, Bernie's of the fandom. You've been summoned here to answer the threat of Unicon. You will unite or you shall fall. I'm expecting some hobbit to run out saying, I'll take the ring to Mordor.
You know what? Okay, somebody in the chat said...
holds up a blank check.
Hold on, somebody in the chat said, I'm afraid to say Celestia Radio. No, I'm not. I don't remember. I think they had a couple Celestia Radio reps there. DHN wasn't there. They just weren't. But, they helped post stuff later, so...
Everybody was on the same page afterwards, regardless of the representatives who were there at the time.
Yep.
All right. I'm running out of questions.
You're running out of questions?
A lot of them are the things I was sent were repeats now. Like the big one was the statement from Las Pegasus Unicon. Apparently, there was an update on the Unicon site about the statement, though. I haven't read it yet.
I haven't had a chance to either.
Somebody said something about EFN on it. I don't know.
Good
Somebody's
Lord.
claiming that that you guys aren't doing your job to keep up with your funds, like with the charity you guys held. Which is like,
please.
If that's
every
true.
$1, we shut down that charity, and we sent every $1 to the agents to distribute amongst the show staff. And look at the Twitter history. I mean, you saw it happen live.
Oh, here's the statement. Can I read to you? And I quote from their statement. When we say that the money from EFN's fundraiser wasn't counted, we mean to say that Las Pegasus Unicon has no record of it. This does not imply that EFN did not keep appropriate records themselves. They made a clarification because I got a call from them right before this, and I said, "Look, you're claiming we didn't." I was like, "No, when we put that money where we put the money." So, all right, just making sure it's clarified.
Yeah. So, why don't you go to the next question?
Is there any way we can get Sandy and Eddie to speak for themselves on the air?
I don't know that that's gonna... I mean, I get the feeling I'd ask them and they'd say no. I think that's something that should be done in, like... They knew I was going on air. They called me up right before this happened. Because when I announced it, they called me up and asked me not to spread rumors. I said I wasn't spreading rumors. I'm saying what I know. They could have offered to be on air at that time, and they didn't. And I didn't really want to ask them to, because I think they need to go and call or they need to call their banks. They need to talk to their people. They need to get their money all together, and they need the facts. And that before it won't do any good to put them on air and blame them for everything when they may not have the facts.
Show me the con facts.
That's not.
So, it's Carfax. I'm hilarious, guys. I got this comedy routine. You should check it out on Saturdays.
I got a comedy routine. How's your steak?
Tip your waiter.
Tip your waiter. Freshen that drink there. Like, come on.
Want some more tap water? Excellent. All right, here's one. What can we do as a community to prevent any future disasters from occurring?
Well, this wasn't a community disaster. This was a convention disaster. I think the community has already done some of that, right? By showing we can rally and that we can all get on the same page. I want to repeat that people out there who are trying to spread absurdly conspiratorial rumors are working against what we were trying to accomplish. There are people that everyone knows who I'm talking about. And in the end, that sort of those sorts of tweets, those sorts of statements going in and trying to say that everything is a scam and blah, 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 blah. That's just divisiveness that this community doesn't need. But for the vast majority of everybody, I mean, all of the media groups, everybody was on the same page. I think that, how to put it, you just keep doing that. To prevent this from happening again, I mean, if you're a convention, plan and be honest. Do your job right. Don't cut corners. Don't assume everything's going to be okay. And be prepared. But that's a convention thing. That's what the convention organizers need to do. And I really need to make it very clear, because I don't want people to think that this isn't true. Like right now in the IRC, there are a few of my really, really good friends, and some of them work for big conventions. So, for example, Bajati is in the chat right now. He's one of the heads of Everfree Northwest. Barry Punch is in the chat. He's one of the heads of Sweet Apple Acres. I can't see the entire list of people in there, but I'm almost certain that some of the BronyCon staff are in there. And their events are professional. In their events, they put in months of work and tons of resources and tons of time, and they talk to the agents, they talk with everyone, they know what they're doing, and you should keep your faith in them because they do an amazing job. Anybody who went to BronyCon last year in the summer, anybody who went to Everfree Northwest or Carolina Gardens or EQLA, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, this was the 8th convention associated with Bronies I've been to, and it was the only failure. So, I mean,
sorry.
That I think the record has shown this is a fluke. This is a fluke.
All right, so I was going to ask a question. After the disaster of this first-time con, why should the fandom trust the future of other first-time cons?
First-time cons?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the convention. I mean, look, I can't speak for people I don't know, but there are some people I do know. For example, I'll just use an example. Sweet Apple Acres Con is coming up this summer. Now, that's a first-time con, technically, but the people who are working on it are not first-time con veterans. Barry Punch in the chat here works also with BronyCon and has seen and been to all these other conventions and, and conducts himself professionally, etc. So, don't judge every first-time con off of this one's mistakes. Judge them off of how they prepare. And you'll be able to tell very quickly if they're doing their job right. You'll be able to see very easily. There are some other first-time cons, like Fiesta Equestria this year, that I have very high hopes for, and I don't see failing. So,
how do you feel about Tara Strong, how she responded to the entire fiasco?
Well, what specifically? Because I heard multiple things.
She was very vocal about it on Twitter, for example.
Well, what did she say specifically? Because I only saw some of it. Honestly, I was in travel, so I had a hard time.
Well, I heard a rumor that she got up from the dinner table at the VIP dinner and stormed off.
Oh, that's because okay. I think that was when the agents found out what was going on. And to be honest, if I was a VA and I was at this convention and I was just being told that suddenly I was about to be screwed out of a bunch of money, not just out of a bunch of money, but out of my personal money that I had to pay out of pocket for everything, And then if I ordered a dinner and didn't get the one that I ordered, I wouldn't see a need to stay at a table either. I don't know. I don't know all the details.
Looking for some questions. We're starting to run out of them.
What's that?
We're running out of questions now, so let me start looking for some other ones. If y'all have questions, hit me up here in the IRC or hit me up on Twitter.
Yeah, guys, if you have questions, I mean, we got 582 people listening. So
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat here, no, this is not a good time to promote a convention. I actually want to call out, too, and say there are some people who have been really pushing Kickstarters for conventions right now. This isn't the time. This is the wrong time for that. It's atrocious timing. What we need to do, people need to stand by, and like I said, I'm right now, like, during the course of this live stream, I got a phone call from Mike the Mike. Obviously, I didn't answer because I've been talking to you, but I'm working with him and I'm working with the agents. We're going to come up with a charity drive, and I should say by charity drive, a donation drive for the brony community that got burned. And please, everybody, be sure to stand by and watch for that, because there's going to be some awesome stuff. Okay, it looks like there's already a relief auction going on. Big Biker 05 says, do we want multiple donation drives? Why the hell not? I mean, come on, people got burned, and let's try and, as a community, rally and support those people. And I should say, I'm not talking about myself. I got burned too. I got burned bad. But there are people who need it more than I do, like the musicians and the other media groups, and we need to I'm working on it. I want to make this okay, somebody's saying that they were at Tara's table and she did not storm out at dinner. Okay, I was at another side of the room, so I didn't see her storm out either. Actually, I think I would have noticed maybe, but so yeah, Tara's been great. Every time I ever see her, she's always super nice and everything too. So I was gonna say, those kind of rumors are a little bit, like, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, if this did happen, that's the only reason why I could think it would, but I'm not surprised it didn't. But I would just say, I want to help coordinate, and I'm working with a bunch of people. Like, there's a whole Skype chat that I'm going to be coordinating with, and everybody, to try and do a big donation push that is community-wide. That takes time to set up. That takes time to plan properly. So look for that soon. It's not going to be immediate. I don't want to rush this. We had to rush what we did at the convention, but we've got just a little bit more time now, and I want to make sure that we do the best job we can.
Here's a question. How did the guest from the show get back to the airport? Because if I heard correctly, wasn't it that pretty much on Sunday night everything was cut, where hotels and flights and drives and everything were pretty much cut, and the VAs had no way of getting back to the airport? What happened with that?
When that was happening, I was also running around making sure that everybody was able to get their stuff out of the venue before they locked it up. So I missed some of the details, but I do know that there were a lot of volunteers. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Dusty and Care to Win, coordinating. Dusty's in the chat. Dusty, write in the chat how, because I think I know, but I don't want to claim it unless I'm certain. But I know that people kind of rallied. Hey, the chat people, can you put it on voice so Dusty can put in the chat what happened? Dead air. Tons of... Alright, so in the meantime, okay, there's Dusty. I'll wait for Dusty to type, but why don't you ask something else?
They claim that $40,000 was paid to the agents, but how much money was actually given to, like, the actual VAs and guests from the...
Well, not that much.
Like, why was there an urgency to pay them immediately as soon as this information got out?
They didn't... Okay, hold on. Alright, so in the chat right now, Glittering Pony, who's the head of EQLA, is saying that they helped, and I know that's true. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's what I thought happened, Dusty. Care to Win, by the way, if anybody got a chance to meet this guy, he's very modest, but he's one of the greatest people I've ever met. Wears awesome yellow glasses, but he's just, he's honestly one of the greatest guys Care to Win is, and I was so happy to get a chance to meet him because he was such a help everywhere. Yeah, I mean, if I could, I would, have an entire, room of people applaud that man because he deserves it. But yeah, I know that also, yeah, like Glittering said in the chat here that they helped out too. Okay. What I think I interrupted the question. The $40,000 paid to the VAs, that didn't happen. For at least from what I'm told, that didn't happen. So there you go. I mean, I asked.
What about I'm sorry, you were going to say anything? Let me ask the next question. Because the next question was about Lee Tokar and the people from the show who kind of rallied up to do what they can.
Lee Tokar is a great friend of mine. Obviously, I work with him on FanBuilt, but he took charge when he heard about what was going on. He helped get all... I didn't do a good enough job giving him credit here. He took charge and really helped rally the agents together, and then he also helped to be a voice for the show staff that were there to kind of explain the circumstances and to talk about it. And Lee is a hero. I would say an American hero, but he's a Canadian hero.
What were some of the events that stood out to you as moments of like, this I won't forget as far as acts of kindness go? Like in general in your life, but Unicon.
Lee promising everybody if they donated $1 to the cause that he would show them a picture of the heart-shaped mole in his toe.
I missed that one. What?
And some of the founders package members who knew they were getting screwed out of their hotel comp came up to the front of the room and just up on stage donated $200 in cash. There were some moments like that. I mean, there were like, I'm trying to think. It was one of those weekends where everybody was being a hero. Like everybody had to be a hero in order to keep the convention goers safe and to do what we could do to keep things going. So, I mean, it was one of the most fast-paced. Sunday was one of the most fast-paced days of my life. I was so exhausted by the end of it, and it was terrible because people were coming up and saying, "I really need to talk to you, Draft." I'm like, I just can't talk. I can't. I don't have time. And I was running by, and I mean, it was. But I know that there were people who were just behind the scenes working so hard to make everything run, and so I don't know. I can't, it's hard to name individual events because there were a lot I didn't see.
All right, here's a question. Would you consider this whole fiasco a positive or negative, occurrence, as in the terms of the community rallying versus the scandal?
I think that's dealing in absolutes. I mean, it's like saying, is earthquake relief a positive or negative occurrence? I think that the event crapping out on people is incredibly negative. It was really, it was a low point for a lot of us. I think that the people rallying together and showing that support. I mean, I know this is true of a lot of people I know. Some of us who have been in the Brony fandom now for, pushing 2 years or more are, there's so much stupid online drama. I call it middle school drama and spatting and dumb tweets and this and that. And I felt like this was a catalyst almost. It's like, say, put all that dumb crap aside and let's get something positive done for these people who are all hurt. Sometimes it takes a disaster to bring people together. So I would call that a positive. The event was negative, but I think that reaction was positive. That the community came together, and I think it's still ongoing. I would like to see what we can do in the next couple days for the members of the Brony community who were burned. And I know that that's something that the VAs and the agents care about because they've specifically asked me to say that.
What about the attendance number? Do you feel like that was...
Their timing was horrible. I mean, I have to say, I had a little bit of faith in them because they got so many people there. I thought that, okay, well, maybe, my understanding of of statistics is off, I hear that they had about 1,700 people. That was the number that was passed around, and that sounds about right. Um, and that's actually quite impressive considering this was the middle of February, and most bronies are either in high school or college. I don't know why you would put a convention at that time. I mean, and they could have put it over President's Day weekend, but they didn't. But, I mean, I think they would have had way more people show up if it was not so inconvenient for their schedule. Um, but yeah, what I heard was 1,700, but that's a lot of people too.
Here's a tweet from Tara, by the way. Someone just sent me about her response to the entire fiasco. She said, love the fans and con volunteers. They were awesome. Organizers, semicolon, don't bring 22 guests. Bring 5, that's your budget. At least make a budget.
True. Very true. I agree. That's exactly what happened. They overextended themselves. That's why we use that term, because that's exactly what happened.
Do you feel like with as many guests as they invited, that was just them overextending themselves, or?
Well, I think what happened was that I think that they had a couple of big guests that they announced early on, and that they got to a point where they suddenly had the approvals they needed to get a lot of huge guests. And I'll say this again. This is a theory. I'm not trying to spread rumors, but this is what it looks like from my perspective and from what I know and from who I've talked to, because I talked about this theory with the agents or whatever. I think what happened is I think in the middle of January, they had a few select guests, not the biggest ones. Well, they had a couple of big ones, Tara and John, obviously. They had some smaller guests, but at that point, I think they were already in debt. I think they were already financially hurting, and I think they decided, in Vegas style, to go all in and bring in everybody that they could possibly bring, and just promise them the moon and hope that that it would somehow save them. That maybe if they brought in everybody, that somehow then they would have amazing turnout, and then that would keep them afloat, and clearly that didn't happen. So it kind of imploded on them. That's my theory. And again, I don't know if it's entirely true. And I'm not trying to spread rumors, but that's the theory that makes the most sense to me.
There's a weird, I can't even talk, right? A weird rumor. Somebody sent me saying they think is the rumors true about /MLP being the cause of this true?
You know what? Hold on. I'm going to say it is true because /MLP has created so many bronies that they're a convention. There. Done. I don't know. Please, come on.
The image board has nothing to do with any of that. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Is it true that they caused the Pearl Harbor? Yes, it is. We have documentation that /MLP caused
They went
Pearl
back
Harbor.
in time.
I mean,
And you just see some neckbeard sitting at the beach in Hawaii, just wringing their hands. Excellent.
Oh, and
This would totally give some good pictures for my fanfic.
yeah, it's MLP /MLP helped. They didn't do anything bad at all. Those guys, they aren't all bad. Let's get that stigma out of the way. All right.
I know a lot of people go in there. A lot of good people.
I stop by there frequently, actually. I'm a lurker. All right. According to Unicon, they say that the venue lied to them and gave them a bunch of charges that they weren't expecting. Is this true?
I don't know. I have to say that originally I would have said that I don't think that that they would do that, but then the fact that they booked a bunch of rooms without any form of payment is really shady, and the fact that they decided to charge people's incidental cards is also incredibly shady. So you know what? I wouldn't put it past them because some of their behavior was shady. But I don't know.
All right. There is talk about creating a pony event review council to review cons before they are promoted and actually occur. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. It seems like conventions, in a sense, are their own independent things, and that agents make their agreements and guests make their agreements with independent, conventions. I don't know that an advisory board is necessary. I mean, like I said, there were 7 conventions last year, and there are tons this year, and there's only one convention that had this problem. I don't think that's good enough to justify trying to create some sort of over advisory board. And besides, you couldn't hold people to it anyway. Somebody wanted to start a convention on their own independently. There's no reason they just do that, advisory board or not. So it doesn't seem like a good idea to me, really. Having people say now, collectively talk, and I think that new conventions talking to established conventions and having advice and having things run over or whatever, so that they're discussed and that people are more experienced. I think that makes plenty of sense. I think that they got to do that, especially if you're a new convention. But I don't think an advisory board is necessary.
Here's an interesting thing. Someone said, I heard some of the vendors and their merch was taken by the hotel, and that the hotel staff pretty much came in and bullied people out.
Well, from what I've heard from the vendor people that I know, like, some of them said they were very reasonable. I think that some people were upset because they had to leave a couple hours before they were originally going to. The more time you have at a convention to sell your wares, the better, because it means you have more opportunity for sales. So, okay, wait a second. Now, Rozga is saying Screwless got his merch taken. I don't know anything about that. If that's true, that's horrible. And Screwless is a really good friend of mine, so I really hope that didn't happen.
Here's a question from Rob Bob. How was the VIP dinner?
What was it?
How was the dinner? How was the food?
It was average.
Really? What'd you have?
Oh, they had a choice between, like, chicken, fish, and vegetarian. I had chicken.
Really? That's it?
Yeah, I had the chicken. They put it was like chicken cordon bleu, I think. I think that's what it is when they put ham on it or something. And it was okay. It wasn't bad.
Meanwhile, Race Best and I are like eating like pigs in the buffet and everything.
I would have enjoyed an In-N-Out burger again, way better.
Here's a question actually I have for you, because I was in the skybox most of the time. Who were exactly allowed into the skybox?
This is a big one. Okay, they had originally planned on charging people something like $150 for access to the skyboxes, and if you weren't there were a few of these skyboxes that ringed the convention space. There were two of them that were overhanging the Sibsy. Burger says that Burger was amazing. I went there with the Creebers. Sibsy was awesome. I love that place. There were these skyboxes that overhung the main area, and you were supposed to pay people in the chat are saying $175, $185, and then you'd have access to sit up there, and they had microphones set up there so you could ask questions. And all right, I'll say this: the security did the best they could with the information they had, but there were some very loose guidelines as to who could be allowed into the skybox areas and who were not allowed in the skybox areas. There was a room set up for EFN to have, basically we used it as a streaming monitoring station so that we didn't have to have all our computers down on the floor. They had a room for some of the other media groups on the other side of the skybox area. Excuse me. And then they had the main skybox area that had the seats and all of that that was adjacent to the EFN room. They had an air wall that was open, and people were just going in and out all the time. Now, the security staff, I know, were checking badges, but I don't know. It's possible that people got up there that shouldn't. It was so busy I couldn't tell for sure. But I will say that the cost that they were charging for that was exorbitant, and that they didn't. I don't know that it was worth that cost. That's just me.
Here's a question, because I heard this complaint from some of the people, and wasn't there supposed to be food and stuff supplied to those rooms?
Yeah, they were supposed to have lunches. I think they were supposed to have lunches each of the days, and it kind of happened the first day, but I think they got charged for it.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, everything.
I know people brought in pizza, but that was from your own wallets, if I'm correct.
What's that?
I know that people brought in pizza, but I think those pizzas were bought by Cowboy Dave and One Trick and people like that. I saw a bunch
yeah.
of food that was just like.
Yeah, we had to run and buy stuff. And then the thing was, I heard too, like, okay, so in the morning, if you saw me in the morning of the conventions, I'm a caffeine addict, big time, and I was buying energy drinks and just hauling them up there. And then I was told later that that wasn't supposed to happen. But then in the skyboxes, they have these little mini fridges. So what the hell, you know? What are the mini fridges for if you can't bring stuff up there? I don't even know. I don't know. It was a mess.
Oh, Dusty Cat told me that the vegetarian dinner was eggplant, and that Tara is allergic to eggplant.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Let me keep looking for some questions. Oh, Screwloo said that the patches apparently is going to be compensated for those via mail
By who?
by Sandy.
That's not going to happen. That's a shame.
I
don't see it
I have
happening.
no credibility for that woman, so I don't. I mean, if it's just good words,
I don't.
mean nothing.
You know what? You know what? Until I start seeing tangible action, I mean, I don't see that happening. Right? I mean, it just. Yeah. Anyway, the next question.
I'm just gonna read this. I haven't had a chance to really skim it, but I heard that LPU staff wasn't accepting any outside help for organization purposes, and that B, there was some law in Las Vegas that prevented them from doing so. Any
What?
truth to that?
No. No, there's no truth to the laws in Las Vegas with please. No, they had okay, they did ask me for help in terms of organizing the panels, and I gave them some ideas for panel ideas. So, like, for example, the split personalities panel idea, that was my idea, because these were people who had done multiple voices. You know, we talked about it. Also, the one where they paired up writers with the VAs that M.A. Larson hosted, that was another one of that was an idea I helped develop with Sandy. So I helped organize some of that, and I, before the event, excuse me, I was talking... before the event, I was talking to, I was talking to them and working with them on making the panels fit the days somehow, like to get enough time into the panel schedule to, you know, so that you basically so that people could go to all the many panels they wanted to. But I know they had some double booking, so like Daniel Ingram's panels at the same time as John Delancey's, and there were some problems with that. But overall, they did ask me for some help on that, and I've never heard of a law saying you couldn't work with that. That's absurd.
Oh, by the way, just to mention, Sandy is not the same person as Chef Sandy from
Yeah, they're
Bonneville.
different. No, yeah. I actually have made that joke a couple of times, because to me it's like, I've said Sandy, and then every time I say that, I mean, I'm like, no, I mean Sandy from, Vegas, not Sandy from Bonneville. I've had to say it so many times. So yeah, completely different. Chef Sandy is in the chat. Yeah, no, we're not blaming you, Sandy.
Dang it, Chef Sandy, we knew it.
You...
Could you? You and your /MLP board.
Maybe we should just start calling him Chef to make the difference. You know, I've been calling him Sandy for a while, but I think I might just call him Chef.
Iron Chef. Or Chef from South Park.
It would make things easier.
Apart from shutting doors early, was this chaos noticeable to the other con goers?
Yes.
So they could because I mean,
I can't okay, any con goer who is, there are some of these people who are in con, who were at the con. I mean, it was pretty obvious. I think the fact that everyone's running around, the schedule was getting changed by the minute. That, I mean, the people, there were rumors flying everywhere. Obviously, the autograph schedule went clear out the window. You know, I think it was obvious.
Looking for more questions. You're moving too fast, Draft. Please. My brain can only go so fast. Where are the biggest gaps in planning cons on the business front? What staff roles are understaffed or hard to find people for?
Well, it's hard to find people in general if you're not going to, say, pay them. I mean, you need reliable people, but most of these conventions rely on volunteers, and so they're kind of relying on how much they care about the roles they have. So this convention was grossly understaffed. I think they were hoping they could get away with fewer staff members for whatever reason. Maybe because they didn't want to comp any more rooms. Maybe they didn't want to, you know, that they wanted people to pay for more badges. I have no idea, but they were very badly understaffed. They were conscripting people at the convention.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, so they needed way more people. You need a board of directors first of all to have a successful event. And these other conventions, especially the ones represented in this chat right here, they know this really, really well, and they do a great job of it. So if you're in the chat and you see Bajati, Berry Punch, if you see Glittering Pony, if you see any of them, they know what they're doing. So you need a board of directors. You need a full security staff with a very clear security chief. You need a programming director who is different than the person who goes pick up people from the airport. You need a VIP relations person. These need to be different people. And they need to all be reliable, and they need to represent their jobs. Like, they need to be able to do their jobs well. Like, don't put somebody in charge of PR if they haven't bathed in 3 months. You know what I mean? Like,
if they have a fedora. No, I'm joking.
If they have a fedora, check it at the door.
Oh, did I tell you that I actually bumped into a brony today?
Where?
I live in Georgia, so I never bump into bronies.
Lol, Georgia.
I know. I was at a Mexican restaurant with my mom, and I saw this kid walking in with a derpy hose jacket. I said, "Oh my god, it's a brony!" And his dad looked and he smiled, and the kid smiled, and they sat down at their table. And I'm like, must resist urge to ask. Okay, I walked over there. And I said, "Okay, are you a fan of My Little Pony?" He goes, "Yep." I said, "So you're a brony?" He goes, "Yep." I said, "Ever heard of Saber Spark?" And because I needed an ego stroke. He said, "No, I haven't." "Who's he?" And I said, "Oh, don't worry about it. He's nobody. Have a good meal." And I walked out the door.
How does it feel? It happens to me all the time. By the way,
he's like, "No, but I have heard of Dusty Cat." I'm like, oh.
Nice. Did he? Well, at least you didn't get mistaken for Dusty Cat. That happened to me at Caroline Garden. I'm Dusty's photographer, by the way, if you didn't know. No, it was Berry Punch in the chat says, "Just for that, I'm not going to bathe for 3 months." You never bathed in the first place. I love you. Inside joke. Anyway, all right, next question.
This is interesting. Apparently, for the money to the agents, some of them were paid in advance, but none of them were paid in full. They got like 25%, and that's it.
I don't know what the percentage was, but I've been told that it was nowhere even remotely close to that. Yeah. I mean, what agents arrange with conventions is between them and the conventions. I mean, that's just the professional discretion, right? But I do know, like, I asked because everybody was asking during the donation drive what the goal was, what were we trying to raise, and I mean, it's not my role to know what the VAs and what the writers were owed in terms of things. So I asked them, though, I said, "Look, how much do you guys want us to raise? Because we could keep this thing going, whatever." And they said, "Well, we need about a little more than $15,000 to cover the hotels and the airfare." And so we went until it got about there, and then we stopped it. And to be honest, if they had said, if they had told me, we'll take whatever donations, whatever, I would have left it open, and I would have kept donating it straight to them because I think they're owed every cent that they agreed to. But I was not part of their contract negotiations, and that wasn't my job. That's between them and Las Pegasus. So,
here's a question. Did EFN get any money from the con? Moving all that equipment must not be cheap.
None. Zippo. Zero. The only thing we got was my flight and 8Track's flight. This was part of our original agreement. We're compensated. But we paid, or my flight, 8Track flight, and Cowboy Dave's flight. But we had to pay massive baggage fees. No, nothing else. We were originally supposed to have compensated rooms. That didn't happen. Same thing happened to the musicians. So, no, nothing. And we did not take any of the money donated and apply it towards anything aside going straight to the agents.
Here's a question. What is the backstory of Sandy and Eddie? Like, how do they get involved with the Sprony stuff? Like, what's
my understanding is that they knew somebody who was into the show, and they went and they saw it, and they became fans of the show. So they say they're bronies, and that they figured since they live in Vegas and they know a lot of the area, that Vegas was a natural choice for a convention because it's such a tourist draw, and that was my understanding. I mean, to be honest, when I was dealing with them beforehand, like arranging things for, because I talked to conventions beforehand. I mean, it makes sense. Um, they seem to be very well aware of their responsibilities, and they did live up to them.
All right,
Next.
next question. Gee, I'm trying. Do you feel like this was a legit scam or just an honest to God mistake?
If they can't come forward with the information that everyone is owed, which is how much they paid, how much they were supposed to pay, how much they still owe, and have independent confirmation from either the agents or the venue or whatever, they can't do that, then you know what? Yeah, it sure does look like a scam, doesn't it? Because until they actually produce the facts about where that money went, and not just some general statement like the money went to the agents. No, show us the numbers. Show it to us and have other people prove it too. Because until you do that, there's money that's not accounted for. It's not accounted for. And nothing they say, no statement they make is going to prove otherwise. I'll ask this of the entire community, and I'll ask this of you even too, Saber.
Oh, God.
Who are you going to trust more? The con organizers or the agents and the VAs?
I trust con
And who should I
organizers.
trust?
I trust the con organizers like Josh Dean and the BronyCon.
I mean, No, I mean, in this case, like, who you trust more? The Las Pegasus con organizers who were supposed to make the payments, or
the VAs and their agents, because they've been in this game for a long time and
exactly, they aren't making stuff up here. They're professionals. They wouldn't be where they were if they
they've
weren't.
been through multiple cons already before. Why would it happen at this con of all cons? Not at BronyCon, not at EQLA, not at Everfree Northwest. This con for some reason. That's bizarre to me.
Yeah, and I want to repeat, by the way, when I say con organizers, I'm not talking about other conventions. I'm talking specifically about this one. I know Bajati. That man has a glorious beard.
No, he's a tall dwarf.
He towers above all. No, he's great. Like, I'm really good friends with a lot of the people. Like, I saw Karen, who's the head of Equestria LA, at this convention. I just walked right up to her and gave her a big hug because that's what has to happen. It's just required. Yeah, me and Barry Punch were giving each other crap the whole time. I mean, we're all really good friends, and I know them, and they know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing. Jonathan Deeds too. I mean, there are people there. Fire Envy. There are people there that I can't remember to mention right this second. Cause there's so many, but I'm talking specifically about the people organizing Las Pegasus because they were the ones who made this mistake or this scam. And if they want us to believe it's a mistake, they need to prove themselves with the numbers. Prove it. And I don't just mean general statements because it's all too easy to say we paid them. No. Prove it and get independent proof as well. Have the agents retweet a tweet that proves that you actually did this. Until that happens, I'm going to believe the agents. Because they're the ones who are the professionals. I'm going to believe not just the agents, but the VAs and the writers and and for that matter, the bronies who were screwed out of a lot of money here too. I believe them before I believe Las Pegasus. And I think you should too.
Don't tell me what to do, Draft.
What?
Don't tell me what to do.
Swear it.
Swear it. Actually, when we were on the strip, it was EQI guys, myself, Rob, Bob, Stand By Please.
I wish I had gone with you.
We were walking past this bridge, and there's this guy hanging up, promiscuous cards, of course, for clubs. He's like, take a card, take a card, take a card. And I said, don't tell me what to do! Because,
Because you're Saber in Lowell, Georgia?
Yeah, why the heck not? Actually, speaking of Vegas, do you feel like this was a poor place to have the convention overall?
No, I don't think it was a poor place. There's great stuff to do in Vegas. I mean, it's not a great place, when you're bringing in high schoolers and you're putting them next to slot machines. I don't know if that's a good idea. But there are I think the Riviera was a really crappy venue. It looked tacky. I don't think they've updated it since 1978. I think they could have done better, and especially given the way they behaved, like the way that they unprofessionally charged people's cards that never agreed to be charged. I think that they should have been somewhere else. definitely. But Vegas as a location, I mean, there's some really cool stuff in Vegas. I went and got to see Penn and Teller. That was awesome.
You did?
Yeah, on Tuesday night. I got there early, so I went and I saw Penn and Teller with Cowboy Dave and Jay Holler. It was awesome.
All right, looking for no more questions. By the way, when do you want to close this up?
I'll keep going as long as people have questions for now, because Well, go ask me the next question, then go to the bathroom.
Favorite pony?
What?
Favorite pony?
Luna.
Let me find a question here. Apparently, Riviera has been accused of scams and stuff like this before. What do you think about that? On that question, I'm off to the bathroom.
Okay. I don't know what the other... I don't know about previous scams. I did some research on the venue before this, people are yelling at me about my choice of Luna. People are saying Twilight's best princess. Well, okay, fine. Luna, though. I did some research about the venue just out of curiosity, and there were some complaints, mostly about how, like, it got their asthma going or something, or that they had some minor complaints, but I never saw anything about full-blown scams. But I wasn't looking into it that detailedly. So, yeah, but I mean, I would say, I'll repeat while I wait for Saber to get back, that they definitely should have had cards on file for comp drones, and that the fact they didn't is really fishy. Like, that's really bad. I actually asked all these agents, because the agents have been to a million conventions for all sorts of things. I asked all these agents, and they all said that this is something that is really unheard of. So it's pretty unique. I'm going to take a... Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I just going to get some peanut butter.
I know I'm unique. Of course you went to the fridge.
You put peanut butter in your bathroom? Who doesn't? Peanut butter emergencies, you know?
Strategically located.
Exactly. Here's a good question. As I choke on peanut butter. Boys and girls, when you're doing moderating and asking questions, make sure plenty of peanut butter to lodge up your throat.
This live stream's just nuts.
Brought to you by Peter Pan Creamy Ice Cream.
Brought to you by Jiffy.
All right, here's a big question, actually. Jeff, do you know about this Curious Critters Creations website or business?
Yes, I know about it a little bit.
What do you think about the connection between them and Eddie and Sandy? And how...
Well, Curious Critters, yeah, I know what they are. Well, at least what they told me was that it's these guys do balloon animals at parties.
Oh, by the way, this question was from Galaxy Art, the animator from YouTube.
Carl.
Draw my dwarf taller.
Now he's microscopic. They make balloon animals for parties. That's my understanding. That was like that's another side business. I mean, they told me about that beforehand. And, like, why not?
Well, do you know how that address is pretty... Okay, there's some rumors, though, or some digging from 4chan.
Well, they do also have animals in their home. You're right. I know they take care of a lot of animals.
Well, apparently this phone number and address have, like, led to some dead ends where, like, it's like buildings that have been abandoned or something.
That's not really my business. Like, I don't know about it. I heard about it, but I don't know about it. I never heard about it from them. When I talked to them beforehand, all I heard was that they did balloon animals and they also worked with animals. Those two things I knew. But I don't know beyond that, like, what if they have... Look, if people go and they find some tangible information, they shouldn't just put it on 4chan, okay? 4chan, if you put it there, there's no trusting it. They need... don't get me wrong, okay? 4chan gods don't hurt me, but... 4chan,
strike me down and hack your email.
No. No, look, there's good information that appears on 4chan, but we all know that 4chan is where people put everything. And it's not going to... Yeah, put it on something that everybody can agree is 100% legitimate. That's all
like
I'm
MySpace.
Friendster. GeoCities. Angel Fire. AOL.
You got mail.
You've got cons. So, I mean, if there's tangible information that people have found, they should share it.
I'm still looking for some more information or questions here. Apparently on LPU's site, it says effective management was transferred from us to Everfree Northwest. That's weird. What does that mean?
No, that's because Bajati, who's in the chat here, volunteered to help coordinate things. No, I don't think they meant EFN either. Passing the buck right now, no, they're responsible for their finances. That was nobody else. We went in and volunteered to help run things. But that was because we felt a debt to the con goers. And we were there and we knew what we were doing and we wanted to help. But they did not give their their responsibility is on LPU. And the responsibility for them to come clean is on LPU. And I would argue that nobody should take anything less. They need to come clean. They need to explain where the money went. Look, nobody's saying that they're going to be able to pay everything. I don't think that's reasonable to expect. I suspect that they would because they don't want to deal with this. But I am saying that they need to come clean about where their money went. And I told them that on the phone before this. I made it very clear to them. I said, you need to come clean because otherwise myself and everybody else are going to have questions and it looks really scammy. And I said that directly to them. And I'll say it again. This is final draft of Everfree Network's official position. Until they come clean, until they actually have independent confirmation, not just saying that this is what the money numbers are, because right now they're in a position where nobody's going to trust them. I don't trust them about this right now. They need to prove themselves, and that means coming clean with the numbers and having independent confirmation. Those are two things. Let me make this very clear, because it's easy enough for people to come up and to say, well, I did this, 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 and this. But no, they need independent, objective confirmation. The best would be from the agents or from other people. And they have to be people involved. Basically, the only way that these numbers are going to make any sense or that this isn't going to look like some sort of ridiculous scam is if they come clean and say, okay, we spent this here, this here, this here, and then the agents or the Riviera or whatever confirms and say, yeah, no, this is true. Until that happens, and it's going to be hard for them, but they should have known that. So don't just look for a post from LPU. Look for a post that's confirmed. And yeah, I'm being kind of, vicious with them right now for saying that, because the easiest thing for them would be to make up some post that's not confirmed. A post from them is not good enough. PR from them is not good enough. We don't need more lines. We need facts, and we need them to be proven facts. I say this all the time. Like, I'm a debate coach. Okay, take a shot. But I'm a debate coach.
Take a shot of peanut butter.
And one of the most basic rules of debate is question your credentials, question the sources, independent confirmation. Until that happens, I don't buy it.
Here's a question. This is something I even pondered myself. What are the odds of these con organizers taking the money and just betting it all on black and losing it? It's an honest question. What if they took all the money and said, okay, let's make it rich tonight, and they put it all on black and they lost it all?
Are you saying that they put it on black and as a result they're in the red?
Yeah, why not draft? I mean, it's Sin City, it's Vice City, so I mean, I know no one has confirmation of this at all, but it's something to speculate and wonder about.
I don't think that's what happened, but if it is that, oh my god, no. Let's not spread rumors beyond
rumors. What if it is that, though? They all went to the slot machines and just threw it away.
There was a slot machine in the building called Mystical Unicorn, and I was like reading it as Mystical Unicon, and I was like, maybe that's how they tried to save things. I don't know. I don't think that's what happened, but it would be hilariously depressing if that is what happened.
We're like, how many kidneys do we have? All right, good. All right, do you feel like LPU can ever be salvaged as a convention?
No.
Again? It's gone forever.
It's done. It's done. Who would go to it? Who would go to it? I wouldn't.
Lightning Hoof, Dragon Warrior?
No, I think that LPU is done, but I can see in the future Vegas being a spot. But it's like I said before, I think there are too many conventions as is, and it's that the market is saturated. I mean, maybe if the Brony community really expands in size, I can see them being I could see there being a convention in Las Vegas again because there are a lot of great bronies there. I met a lot of great people who were from Nevada. They were awesome. So, Vegas isn't to blame in this case, but Unicon, they're done. There's no chance in hell.
Here's something that's kind of a little bit off topic, but interesting. How do we keep the VA panels, I guess, interesting? And in a sense, weird, like the person said, ask newer questions and things like that.
I don't really know what I don't know what that has to do with the.
I know. Never mind. Jeez.
No, okay. In general,
the person was saying the VAs. I guess maybe I wasn't sure if it's related to the convention. And okay, here's a question: do you feel like the VAs and the guests were extremely lackluster and didn't want to really put anything into it after they found out about the news?
I think we were all deflated by that. You can't be chipper when that's happened, but I do think that they gave it their best, and I love the VAs that I know. That they're great people, and they didn't have to be there. They could have left, and they didn't. They stayed there for us, and I think they answered the questions and goofed around and did their thing, and I think that I didn't notice them. That implies that they were just like, yeah, whatever about the community. These guys love the community. There's a reason they go out of their way to be at these things. Like the bronies to them are awesome, and we represent a lot of really positive things to them. So I don't think that they were being lackluster. I think they were like everyone else. They had a long night when they found out. And they had to deal with a lot of stress they didn't expect to have to deal with, and they shouldn't have had to deal with. But I also know afterwards, I got a call from Nicole Oliver, and I got an email from Kathy Westluck, and I got an email from, I'm trying to think, some of the writers emailed me, whatever, and they all just told me, they're like, we love the community, and we really appreciate what the community did. And they wanted me to pass that along, that they know what we did for them. And they're really humbled by it. And so I think that's a really strong thing about these guys. I think there's more reason to have all the more respect for them, is that they're more tied into the community than you might think. And I think that they fully appreciate that this was not the community's doing, that this was Las Pegasus' doing. So yeah.
All right. By the way, shout out to Pixel Kitties. She was the one who drew this picture.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. I wish. I was gonna say I wish
she was there.
I wish she could have been screwed like the rest of us.
I wish Paleo was there, and it's like, maybe not.
I love seeing her when I can. Let's put it that way. I wish I had an opportunity to see her at a good event. I wish this could have been a good event.
So you mean Equestria LA then coming up here in a couple months?
That's right. I'm hoping to be there too.
Okay. By the way, I think another 15 more minutes and I have to call it quits myself.
Well, how many more questions have we been getting? Because I don't want people later on to say, well, they didn't answer everything.
All right, if you all have any burning questions, and I might have skipped them, then re-ask them via Twitter or here on the IRC, because a lot of these questions either have nothing to do with it or they've been asked before.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing them right now, so, and I'm more... I can't answer everything, all over the place. There's just so many. There are going to be tons of questions.
Here, for now, since we have people tuning in, give them a quick rundown of what we're talking about.
Basically, that what was it? That this convention, there was a lot of questions about where the money went, what happened to the guests, and what I know about the mess. This was basically trying to get some more clarity about what happened. And I should say too that our plan is to post this as a video on EFN later on, so you guys will be able to rewatch this.
Yeah, that's one of the questions.
Yeah, that will be up later.
So I guess here's a quick question. I know I already asked it before, but just one more time. So do you believe that the agents were taking money from the cash box, like reaching over and taking money? I mean, I
I'd
find
like to know. I'd like to know where this rumor is coming from. I mean, I think that I think the agents were owed money, so it's possible that they, asked for a cash payment because they were sitting there like, wait a second, and I don't mean the agents. I should say the agents were representing. Let's make this clear: the agents first and foremost were representing their clients. And one thing about voice acting agents, because they were there, um, is that they aren't money grubbing whatever. They make those
by the way,
voice.
the Vegas site was the one who said that.
Who said that?
Las Pegasus website.
I don't believe anything they have to say right now.
LOL.
I don't know. To me, it's like, first of all, that kind of an accusation is utterly unprofessional to put up on a website. Like, that's unless you have some sort of video proof of it happening. I don't really buy it. And if any other, somebody said PT is also swearing by it. I don't think PT was there, so I don't think that PT knows
There was
what
a recent
happened there.
tweet from her saying that she actually sides with you, but I'm trying to keep it.
No, I'm not trying to like take sides or whatever. I think that I could, I don't know, freaking president of Ghana could say that it happened. It doesn't mean that it did.
He's actually broke.
I mean, she's wouldn't surprise me.
God, that's
Rename the capital Cloudsdale. So yeah, I'm not, what is it, trying to I don't know. I didn't see it happen. I do know the agents were owed money, so it's possible that they made a cash payment. I think they were at a point, though, like, you gotta understand that there was a point in that convention on Sunday where the convention organizers were there, sitting in the back room, just kind of catatonic, not doing anything. And, when you're in that circumstance, and you need, and people are owed money, I know that people are going to go and try and make sure that, that they get the money that they need. So, but I didn't see anybody taking stuff out of a cash register. I wasn't there for that.
Here's a question. I'm just going to read the quote here. I've seen Sherry Fowler's name mentioned as an agent or a spokesperson for some of the con show. Is this true? If not, do you know?
She is an agent. She represents Lee Tokar and several other people. She is an agent. She's one of the people who coordinated on when we were talking about what we do with the donation, whatever. So she had several of her clients at that convention. She's not a con organizer in any sense whatsoever. She's an agent. And she's an awesome person and a very good friend of mine.
Do you see any VAs while... I'm not VAs, celebrities while in Vegas that aren't related to My Little Pony?
What's that?
No, I'm just... it's just a random question, silly question, trying to buy myself...
No, I didn't hear it.
Trying to buy myself some time here. I was going to say, did you see any celebrities that were not pony celebrities while in Vegas?
Yeah, I saw Penn and Teller.
Good, bought myself 2 seconds. Excellent. All right. While what happened hurt every convention as a whole, do you think the community will be able to trust the major conventions again?
Yes, I think that they should. I think it's going to put the impetus on the conventions out there to really, say, look, here's how you know we're reliable. And that's hard to do, especially with first year conventions, but I do think that I mean, like I mentioned many times, there are people in this chat right now who are awesome people who run conventions, and they've run awesome events, and they've got a history of it. I don't think that we should, how to put it, I don't think we should question their professionalism or let these guys' mistakes be their fault somehow. Anybody who's been in this community last year knows the power of what's it called? They know how cool those events were. I mean, Saber, you were at Everfree Northwest, and you were at BronyCon, and you were at EQLA.
I've been to every single convention for Brony so far, except for the super small ones.
Well, there you go. So you're not what's it called? You know these people as well as I do.
Yeah,
You-
I mean,
should-
I've been
should
fortunate
we
enough to be
hold-
behind the scenes and watch a lot of this stuff just behind the scenes.
Should we hold any of them somehow accountable for what happened here? No. In
No,
fact,
not at
you know
all.
what? In fact, you know what? Specifically, this event proved how awesome those other events are going to be because so many of the staff from these other conventions were at LPU and they stepped up to the plate and they did their job. Like, they didn't have jobs originally, but they were conscripted in a sense. I went and talked to them. I'm like, please help us. And they're like, yes, absolutely. Like,
It was
you know,
great
I'm thinking
seeing
John
them.
Fullner, Josh Dean,
Yeah, those
Jonathan
guys.
Dietz, Bajati, Glittering Pony. You know, like I said, I saw Fire NV moving boxes.
It wasn't
I
even
mean,
their convention, and they jumped in.
it wasn't their convention. They came in and helped. Ironhoof was, you know, or was there. Well, I mean,
No,
it's
no, no.
silly.
I'm laughing at something that Race Bass sent me. I'll tell you about.
And I
it
should
later.
also point out too that there were a lot of attendees who paid to be there who also stepped in. I keep forgetting to mention that. So I'm thinking like Amanda Pyle, and I'm thinking like, you know, Mac Attack, who's in the chat right now.
What a gentleman,
And
by the way. He's a sharp dresser.
that guy is a stand-up guy, and by stand-up I mean he towers
Yeah,
over everything.
It's one of the tallest bronies I've seen.
I'm pretty sure that if there's a war, they would just put him in there, and he'd be like, guys, and everybody would be like, oh no, don't hurt it. No, but honestly, like everybody pulled together at that convention. Convention staffs included. Convention heads. You know, the thing is, it's one thing when you're a convention head and you can kind of like. There were conventions last year where convention heads, you know, they organized things in advance, and then during the event they kind of made an appearance and they disappeared. These guys like Bajati and Karen, or Glittering Pony, and you know these other guys I've mentioned, they were in the thick of it. They were carrying boxes, they were moving things, they were opening doors, they were escorting people, they were answering questions, you know, playing security, you know, they were moving cameras, setting up stages, moving charity items. They were doing like the grunt work, like the hard, like physical work of a convention. I saw this happen, and that to me tells me that these are the people you want running conventions because they know how to do work that needs to get done. So, if anything, this convention proved that these other conventions are going to be awesome. Because if they're willing to put in that kind of work for a train wreck that they got burned by, then just imagine what they'll do with their own events.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
I've heard that some of the VIPs just up and left when they heard the news. Is this true? If so, who left?
No, that is not true. So, no, that didn't happen. In fact, they all stayed. The only person I heard that had to go was I believe Britt McKillop because she had some sort of like medical thing, and that's not just making something up. Like I heard she had to run to the hospital. I also have heard that she's fine, but that she didn't leave because of anything else, and that was even before the news came down. So yeah, no, they didn't.
All right, I'm gonna keep looking for a question here.
Yeah, if you guys got
Do you
questions,
think that the drive-by and the shooting on the strip on Thursday was a bad omen?
can I just say this? It's terrible that people got killed in that drive-by, but everybody's mom contacted them when that happened. Like, and I was laughing because somebody told me that they were in the air, like they were taking a red-eye flight to Las Vegas when it happened, and they landed, and there was a message from their mom, "Are you okay?" And they wrote back, "I was in the air over Utah at the time." You know, but yeah, there was a drive-by shooting that happened right before the convention. It was about a mile south of where the convention happened, so nobody was hurt by it, and it has nothing to do with it.
I'm still looking for some questions. I got a bunch lined up, but
Well, I think we should answer them because I think the best if these
a
questions are
bunch,
coming in.
a bunch. But I'm trying to find the good ones.
Well, ask a bad one. I don't mind.
Is Brits not appearing on the panel because of said medical condition?
My understanding was that I didn't. It was a little crazy, but Britt McKillop. Again, I heard that there was and I don't want to go into her personal medical whatever because I don't know the details, but I don't think she was really scheduled for many panels on the Sunday in the first place. But it wasn't. I think that the more important question here is: was it because of the fallout? No, it wasn't.
All right, I'm going to keep asking these questions in a chronological order now.
Sure.
Okay, well, here's one. I can't ask that. I already asked it. Can we get a photo of Final Draft's Dusty Cat mustache? See, Draft, this is why I have to search for good ones.
I don't have a Dusty Cat mustache.
Where
I don't know what they're talking about.
See, this is the problem. I thought it was questions, but
why would somebody ask
questions,
that?
Draft? I'm
It's
telling
like,
you.
can we get a photo of Final Draft standing on the moon? No.
All right, Draft. How about this? Would you rather fight? Would you rather? Do you think there will be an epic? What the questions are jumping back and forth now. Dang it!
Come on,
I'm
people.
mixing them up. What, Draft? You said to keep asking questions.
Yeah, I did, but I'm saying to people. Like, come on, people.
All right. Would you rather fight 10 horse-sized ducks or one?
Oh, this again? What?
Draft. It's
Was this from Fluttertree? Can I ask that?
No, it was not.
Okay, good. Here's the answer. Shooby-doo. Shoo-shooby-doo. Next.
Here's a tweet from Emily Larson.
Okay.
Quote unquote, stealing from the cash box. He says, it wasn't my agent, quote unquote, stealing from the cash box because I don't have an agent. If I had to guess, it was probably Stephen Andrews.
I thought they made peace.
Oh,
I thought they made peace at the convention. They were
such
friends.
cool people. By the way, Stephen Andrews has a hilarious sense of humor.
Oh, I love that guy. I love he cracks me up. Like me and Architect. That's Architect, by the way, Stephen Andrews. No, he that's really funny. That's really funny. Me and Architect, like I stood between Stephen Andrews and M.A. Larson. I'm like, you two make friends. They're like, okay. They're so cool.
Do you feel like this weekend's fallout will lead to more con staff transparency in the future?
I hope so. I mean, I hope it does. I mean, it seems like that it kind of has to, but I mean, that's a good thing, right? I've always tried to operate EFN like as upfront and as, honestly as I could. I think it's like the only sane way to operate a convention. And I know that other conventions have been doing that already. So like, BronyCon and Everfree Northwest and all the ones I've been mentioning, EQLA, I can't remember them every time. But I think that, I hope it does become more transparent because of this. Because that will make a better event for everyone. Plus, it will save the con organizers a lot of headache. I mean, you gotta imagine how much of a headache a messed up con must be. I mean, actually, I already know what the con heads are probably thinking. Like, well, it's already a headache running a convention. Running a convention is hard work, but it's even harder if you're disorganized and don't know what you're doing. So,
You sound like
next.
John Ritter. That's the next question.
Who?
John Ritter? Ritter? All right, moving on to the next question.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
All right, how will this affect the way that EFN will decide to go to conventions in the future?
Well, I've already been talking. I've already talked to a lot of the conventions that I want to. I mean, most of the conventions that I want to go to, I've already been talking to. Just for the sake of transparency, I'll tell you guys that last year we didn't do any kind of contracts with conventions. We just showed up out of pocket and streamed out of pocket. This year, because none of us can afford to do that, I've been asking people to conventions. Basically, I set up a very basic contract with them. In that contract, I ask for travel, hotel, and internet. Those are the three things I ask for. I don't ask for cash. I don't ask for any of that. I don't care how they make it happen. Those are the three things that I look for with conventions, and I don't think that that's too much to ask for, given the kind of work we put in. I had a contract with Vegas. They broke my contract, and I have to think about how I want to go through and address that. Because, yeah, they broke my contract. They broke the contract I had with them. They were going to cover hotel, and they didn't. I have a legal basis to sue them, but I have to ask myself, is the $1,000 or whatever, I mean, it was about that, that I paid for my hotel room worth whatever legal fees or whatever it would get so that they legally have to pay me when they probably don't have the money in the first place?
I'm sorry, I just read a tweet that cracked me up.
So, no, okay, before you get to that, I'll just say this. I've already talked with the conventions, and I know, like, for example, I'm talking with Bajati, and I've been talking with John Folder and Josh Dean, Haybuck and Zephyr and Logan and everybody from BronyCon. And I know those guys, and I trust those guys, and they're good friends of mine. And Folder and I are shuffleboarders, and I don't think I have to worry about those sorts of problems with them. But for new conventions, I'm gonna kind of want some more assurances, and I may be a little bit more wary about it. But I was already asking for paperwork in the first place, and they already knew that. So there you go.
Isn't it weird, and this is one of the tweets that cracked me up, isn't it weird how the events at LPU mirror the main six's effort to keep the Crystal Fair afloat with the Crystal Heart missing?
All I had was a piece of hay and a straw, but I made it work.
Those poor vendors. So that mean Race Best and I are like Pinkie Pie trying to keep people smiling?
You know, I'm just thinking, like, on the second day we were in such a rush. We were in such a... Yeah, I know. We were in such a rush on the second day that we were throwing memory cards from upstairs over the balcony downstairs, and I'm thinking of now throwing cadence, and yeah. Oh, wow. That's funny.
That is pretty funny.
I can actually play a flugelhorn. A real flugelhorn, I can play it.
Good for you, Draft.
Yay.
You can be a brain musician, maybe.
Maybe.
All right, here's a question. One of the more hard-hitting ones. Do you feel like there's any evidence that LPU paid anything to anyone at any time?
Somebody posted a picture of me on the moon.
What?
Hold on, I'm going to send it to you. Just a second.
This question I'm asking anyway might have been asked already, so...
Look at this thing.
Look at this photograph. Let's go look here. I'll share it with the live stream.
That's hilarious.
That is great.
Okay, what was the question?
I'm not going to ask it. It's,
No, ask it. Ask it.
I actually already deleted it.
No, ask it.
No, I already deleted it. I don't know what it is.
I told people I'd answer whatever I could.
I guess the question was along the lines of, like, was there anything paid for at all by LPU in advance? I mean, I know that it's a 25% thing before, but, like, was the hotel paid at anything? Where did all this money go?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. That's what I don't know. And that's what they need to tell. Because until they do, they're scamming the community. Let me just put it, very, very clearly again. Said it before. I will continue to repeat this. I don't take public stances often, but I'll make this as a very clear public stance, and everybody tell me if you agree. They need to come clean. Not just to the community, not just to the VAs, and to the agents. They need to come clean to the public. They need to publicly explain where the money went, even if it means they're saying we couldn't pay this and that. Because then we'll have an understanding of why everybody got burned. But until they come clean, I'm not going to believe a word they have to say on any of this, because they haven't shown any evidence. Furthermore, I really want to repeat this, because this is important. It's not enough for them to just make a statement. They need to have it independently confirmed. And I would prefer it by the agents, or, in fact, you know what, I would say they need to confirm their, the cost, at least in that regard, by the agents, and they need to have it independently confirmed by the venue. Those two things have to happen. If they don't do both, then it's garbage. They need to come clean, and they need to have it independently confirmed. Because I can easily see them saying they're coming clean, and here's our numbers. But without that confirmation, that doesn't mean anything to me. And I don't think it should mean anything to you.
Here's a question, and I think it's a good question. Why isn't there con stuff in the podcast right now? I think it'd be pretty nice if one of them actually stood up.
Because it's not. If I had con staff in this right now, if I try to arrange that, it wouldn't be objective. It would be. This is not me trying to. I don't work for LPU. I never did. This is about. This is about what I know as an independent media broadcaster, and this is about what level of involvement EFN and the other groups had in trying to clean up the mess. This is not about this isn't a kangaroo trial, and this isn't their time to talk about what happened, because I don't think they have the information yet. I mean, they need to have their information in order, and then down the line, if they want to have their information in order, and they've got they've coordinated with the agents and the people who are owed money, then we can go from there. But right now, I'm just trying to help answer what questions I have, and I hope that that the past hour and a half or so. Wow.
You mean? Wait, okay, yeah, for an hour and a half.
Well, maybe it's been more, but well, good lord. I just hope that this has helped out, because I know that this didn't answer everything, but I'm hoping that this is starting to answer some stuff for people.
That's an interesting question. How dependent are VAs and staff members from the show? How dependent are they on appearances like this?
Well, I don't think that they're dependent. I mean, they started working on the show well before there was a Brony community, so they were making their own livings off of working as voice actors beforehand. But it does help them. I mean, and it's like anything else. I mean, I'm sure everybody's been in a situation where they've gotten some windfall and they've been able to, say, pay bills they didn't expect to be able to pay. I mean, I think it's the same thing with them. So I don't think anybody's going to be out on the streets because of this from the VA community. But that being said, do we as a community think it's fair to bring these guys to a convention or to something like this away from what else they could have been doing at home with their families or working, and then promise them to be paid, and then at least even travel and hotel, and then not have that happen? I mean, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I have a question, actually.
Yes.
All right, and this one is about John Delancey. I missed one of his panels, and I only watched half of the other. With the recent events, or not too long, semi-recent events that happened with the BronyCon documentary and how it was quote-unquote pirated, do you feel like this happening, I guess, afterwards has kind of hurt his interpretation about bronies, or do you feel like he's still pretty much feeling the same way about they're good people?
I had a very long conversation yesterday with John Delancey's agent, who is an amazing person, and she and I talked a little bit about this, and I said, well, my hope, my fear is that, I should say my fear, that's why I said my fear is that he's going to view the community poorly because of what happened here. And she said something really good, which is that she's like, well, John has been to a ton of Star Trek conventions. This isn't his first convention, and this certainly isn't the first convention that has fallen apart. And I've talked to Dusty, and I've talked to other people who are real convention, veterans. And astoundingly, this has happened before in other fandoms. So this is not a new thing. This is something, it's new for our community, but it's something they've seen before. And she was saying, well, would John blame the Star Trek fans if a Star Trek convention collapsed? The same thing's true with bronies. I don't think he does. Because he's seen this before. I think he doesn't blame. It's the same thing I've been saying over and over again. The guests don't blame the community or even the people who were there for these mistakes. There are a few, very select few number of people who are responsible for this, and those are the organizers of Las Pegasus, like the organizers, not all the staff, the organizers, and I think the Riviera Hotel. Between the two, they need to come clean. Those are the ones that I think everybody's mad with, not the community.
All right, I'm looking for another question. What cost did regular con attendees have to cover for?
Well, I mean, when you went to the convention, I imagine that you just paid for your entrance. I think the 3-day cost was like $85. And then if you went and wanted to buy stuff from vendors, he would do that. Or if you wanted to buy autograph vouchers, he would buy vouchers and get autographs. I think that the regular con attendees, the ones that walked in that didn't have package deals or whatever, like the people who just had basic, admission, I think they got out of this relatively okay. The Sunday was a little bit truncated because they didn't have the time for everything, and I think the Chef Sandy says John Q Pony fan. I think John Q Pony fan got out of this all right. Yeah, and Sunday was a little shorter than it should have been, and some of the panels got moved around, but they still had that opportunity to see the panels and to meet with the VAs and get the signatures and go through the artist alley and but of course there was a lot of organizational problems, and I think myself and all of the other people who volunteered to try to make things work, we did our best to make it as good for them as possible.
Do you think that the half-eaten hot dog was nailed financially because of this as well?
I think I was originally going to say that the half-eaten hot dog in your panel I don't know, did you release that panel yet?
Yeah, it's on AC Race Best's.
Okay, yeah. Your panel, I think the half-eaten hot dog, I would have originally said it got burned like everything else, but I hear it was cold.
Well, he was flown out and everything. All of his charges were said to be covered for, and we were very surprised that he was our guest for the panel. I mean, our audience loved it, but I'm worried about him. I hope he got out okay. Oscar was hurt to begin with, so.
I hear that my hot dog has a first name. It's OSCAR.
All right, go if y'all haven't seen it, go watch AC Race Best video. He and I had a panel at the convention. If you all want to get in on the joke here. Apparently there's been an update with the LPU statement. So,
again?
I don't know. I think it happened a couple of minutes ago.
There's somebody in the chat claiming to be Peter New. If it is Peter, hey man, can you...
He's tweeting about it.
Text me. Oh, he is?
No, that's Peter. Hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter. Peter's awesome.
Damn straight.
Well, if he's the real Peter New, somebody give him voice. Come on. Well, anyway, what was the next question?
Just giving me some of these bad ones. Oh, by the way, guys, this podcast right now will be uploaded to EFN's channel, so...
It will. It's obviously a large thing. This is a very long discussion because this is a huge mess. But it's something that needs to be discussed. Like I said, I should say I know Saber is staying up a little later than he wanted to, but if you guys have questions,
I'm doing it for you guys because I love this fandom.
This is about transparency. I want to answer whatever you guys are wondering about. If it's conspiracy theories, if it's I don't know anything, ask, tweet it to Saber. Because I want you guys to know that I'm, from at least my part and for EFN's part, and I should say that in my experience, the other Brony groups, the other conventions, the other representatives. I mean, obviously we've got some of the Bronyville guys in the chat right now. I know EQD and Celestia Radio and the other groups have been very open about this too. So if you have questions for me, please. I can't speak for the other ones, but somebody asked, did I get paid? No, I was never supposed to be paid. There. Simple.
I've gotten like 40 followers on Twitter because of this. I'm smiling.
Yeah. Are you seriously?
Yeah, I love it.
I haven't been watching Twitter, I'm afraid.
I got like 40 followers. I'm like, yeah, keep them coming. Yes. But no, I've been getting questions from Sam.
Wow, Saber. Classy.
What?
Next.
What?
Next.
Go check out my channel, Saber Spark.
Be quiet, you. Ask questions.
All right. There's rumors of the venue double charging people. Was this true or over-exaggerated?
Well, I think what they mean by that is the package holders who had their rooms compensated, or they were supposed to be, where they... See, when you bought one of these like founder packages, like the Schedule F package or whatever, you were supposed to have been given a comp room, and you were paying let's say you were paying $1,500. Well, a portion of that money was intended to pay for the room, so you were already assuming that you were paying for the room, and then at the end of the convention, when it all imploded, you're getting charged for that room. So from your perspective, yeah, you would be double charged for a room. And they were. That's why it's so upsetting.
All right. Give me a moment here. Not sure if this was answered, but since venues are generally paid in advance, is it clear why the Riviera forced the con to shut down early?
My guess is that they were paid something in advance. I mean, I don't know. Like I said before, I wasn't involved in any of the finances in terms of how much they paid to who. All I know is what I've been told. At one point, I did have the Riviera. Okay, I think they were paid partially in advance for the venue space. I think they had to be. I think because the Riviera has been weird. They did some shady things. I do know that when on the Sunday afternoon when I was going and running around, when Sandy came up and was asking, she was asking for me to take the donated money and to put it towards the hotel cost, to pay the hotel. And she had a hotel representative with her. And since this was so public, I don't really have any problem saying this. The hotel representative said in front of everyone, "We're owed $18,000. And I told everyone publicly, very publicly, that the that the money was never going to go. That the donated money was, first of all, not mine to decide, because it was donated for the guests, for the VIPs, the show staff, and that it was always intended to go to the agents, and that was explicitly stated multiple times during the donation drive and even when we ended it. So there was never a choice as to where that money went. And it was on PayPal, and it went straight, directly, dollar for dollar, every single cent of it, to the agents. So I was telling them at the time, like I told the Riviera representative, I said, it's not my responsibility to pay you. And I also told Sandy, I said, this money is for the agents, and that's what it was donated for. And I went and kept doing what I was doing. Because that's not a choice. When money is donated, and that's why I'm so upset about this Kiki thing, when money is donated, that's not a choice. That money goes to what it's donated for.
Well, this guy is determined asking this question.
Well, ask it.
It was, why do you refuse to recognize the other networks who were in the Skybox? Uh-huh.
I've been recognizing every one of the other networks.
Daily, they were there. Celestial Radio, Derby Hooves News, PVO.
Oh,
They were all there.
Yeah. I should say Ponyville Live was there. Yeah, no, they were there.
Yeah, everybody's there.
I'm not refusing.
Draft, how could you?
They were working together too. We all worked together on this.
Yep. This isn't a glory grab by any means. This is just people trying to keep things together.
It was all of us working together. It's just that I'm in a position where, because EFN helped coordinate the donation drive, and because I was working with the convention and we were streaming or whatever, I'm in a position where I know some stuff. That's all. And I'm just, for transparency's sake, trying to answer what I can.
Draft, was there any mad rioting people?
Oh, you mean like people who were upset? Yeah, there were some people upset.
Any I guess, things that come to mind? Have you seen anybody like freak out and shout or scream or anything?
I saw some people get really, really upset. And I saw one person I was talking to, I had to break the news to them that this was one of the package holders. I'm not going to name who. But he came up to me and asked me about, how the rooms were going to be paid. Because there was a misunderstanding that somehow I had taken over the convention finances, which I never did. I had no control over that. And he came up and he said, I bought this package, and it's supposed to include a room, but they're telling me that the room isn't going to be included. And I kind of said, I've got bad news for you. I think that they're going to charge you. And he had to get up and he had to get himself some air. And he was really upset. I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. And it's hard. I wish I could. It's hard.
Here's a question. I keep getting this one. LLC status of the cons, both LPU and others.
Oh, well, there's supposed to be a limited liability company, I guess. Then I don't think that this convention did that. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they're an LLC. I may be wrong on that, but I don't know. I mean, they're an organization one way or another, and there are specific people who signed contracts. And I mean, I can go and dredge up my contract eventually that I had with them, but I know that it was signed by Sandy, and that I signed it. That makes it legally binding, and it was witnessed even. So, you know, that means that they're responsible.
Here's a question, actually, if you don't mind me asking.
Go for it.
How much money? I know this is a speculating question.
Yeah.
How much money do you think that Sandy and her husband made from this that they're not going to use to give to the people who deserve it?
Well, let me just say this really quick, because some people are wondering what an LLC is. I should point out, by the way, that Everfree Network is run by Poison Joke Productions, LLC. Now, I want to clarify, too, though, that Poison Joke Productions, it's the same people. I'm the CEO of Poison Joke Productions. So we're the same people. We just created an LLC because we wanted to be able to, sign contracts, keep everything legitimate. We put in a lot of money and a lot of travel expenses, and we want to make sure that, we can keep ourselves, like, if we have to put in finances, that it's a company, that, that there is a professional separation, whatever. So we're LLC. We're a limited liability company. If you guys ever see that on our site and you're wondering what that is, Poison Joke Productions, hi, I'm in charge of it. It's the same people. Funny story, we were going to name our company Everfree Media, and it was too close to Every Free Moment Photography. I love that. Okay. Where do I think... Okay, you were asking, how much money they might have absconded with?
Possibly, yeah.
Until I see otherwise, it could have been anywhere up to all of it.
Because, I mean, there's obviously some funds missing. I don't know how they can screw up on this level and there not being some kind of foul play behind the scenes.
That's what I'm wondering. It sure looks like it, doesn't it?
I mean, it's like almost in the hundreds of thousands of the money made.
Well, I mean, I had somebody do some basic mental math. I should say I had them, but they told me they had done that. That, for example, the celebrity dinner. The celebrity dinner cost $200 a plate, and it was supposed to include a open bar for the first hour, and then the dinner for the second. Well, they had about, I want to say 200 people there. Now, some of those people were comped, or some, like, the celebrities themselves and their people. So let's say you had even 100 people with, or 150 people with $200 tickets. Do the math. That's like $35,000. Where'd that go? And not only that, the bar was not open bar, it was cash bar. So, where did the money for the celebrity dinner go? Where did the money for the registration go? Somebody said, what does comped means? It compensated, covered.
Do you feel like the hotel and LPU could possibly be working together behind the scenes to pull off?
Stinks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if the Riviera actually lowered themselves to that stand, that's horrific.
Well, the Riviera did some stuff that was utterly unprofessional that I think raises those kinds of questions. I don't want to spread rumors because I don't know.
Investigation from the federal government. I'm not even joking right there. I'm not even
joking. That's why I said I think there's grounds for lawsuit all over the place.
I hope someone takes them to court.
Well, who knows?
I spoke to my sister, and she's a lawyer, so doing
some
digging.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the numbers. That's why I've said that they need to come clean about it.
All right, well, I'm actually reaching the light at the end of the tunnel here.
Again, guys, I mean, before we're probably going to wrap this up sooner than later because it's been running long. But
yeah,
if you have more questions live, please send them. I should say, if you're re-watching this later, let's say you're watching this recording and it's later, I want to clarify that there's probably going to be, in fact, I'm certain there's going to be information that comes to light even within an hour of this ending. There's going to be stuff that's going to come up that's not been, discussed here. This is what's been going on the evening of, February 26th, 2013. It doesn't reflect all of the information that comes up later. And I'm just telling things what I know right now. And I've tried not to speculate, and I've tried not to overstep what I know. So when new stuff comes up, that could change things, And I just hope you guys recognize that. If you're listening to this later on and you're wondering if you have more questions for me, I'm going to try and answer over the next few days what I can on Twitter. I think that's a big task, but I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to answer what I can on Twitter. It's going to take some time. If your question doesn't get answered, it's not because I don't like you or something. It's because there's probably going to be a lot of them. And, yeah, I know. Me too, Saber.
Leave the family.
Pandas.
When this was happening on Sunday, I was like, maybe I should leave.
Panda Express. So, yeah, I just want to make that clear right now, because when, I can see it now getting a ton of tweets. Well, they said this. Well, okay, I only know what I know right now. I think more will come to light in the next few days. So, next. Somebody wants me to do the Gilbert Gottfried voice.
No. It's
I'm not going to do it right now. It's way too late.
Thank you.
I'll do it later.
Jeff, I can't do it. My voice sucks. All right, someone said apparently...
Oh my god! No, I'm not doing that.
Apparently someone in the chat said that the con organizer knows the hotel owner.
So what?
Yeah, apparently the con organizers are friends with the hotel owner.
Well, that might explain, if that's true, that might explain why they were able to make what is effectively an illegal arrangement.
They can't pull the freaking sheets over so many people's heads. It's not going to happen. Especially when this fandom is extremely active on social media. They're going to get caught.
Well, they are a hotel, so sheets are kind of their specialty, though.
Shut up. All right.
Thanks.
Give me some coffee. You're like an intern. All right. What can we as fans do to ensure this doesn't happen again? Which I already asked that question before, but...
Well, I don't know that... Again, this isn't the fans' responsibility. This is a fluke, in my opinion. I mean, the track record is much more solid than this. I think the only thing I can suggest is, if you're considering starting a convention, be really serious about it, and be really, really aware of how much it costs and how much work it's going to be. And also be realistic. I mean, if you're starting a convention in Cheyenne, Wyoming, don't expect to get multiple thousands of people, right? There isn't one in Cheyenne yet. But, you be aware of where you are and what your timing is, This one was in February. Most high school students can't go to a February convention, Just be aware of that sort of stuff and budget accordingly. I think that's the best I can suggest, because beyond that, if you're a fan and you like these conventions, I don't think this should dissuade you from going to conventions. All the people I talked to said they had despite the, the drama, they had a great time. Like, that they got to meet with their friends, they got to, see awesome dealers, and they got to see their favorite VAs and all that. I mean, that's what these conventions are about. In fact, the number one thing these conventions are about, and the musicians say this all the time, but it's really true, is that it's all about hanging out with your best friends. And I think that that's something that that you shouldn't be expecting not to happen. Like, basically, that's going to happen at any convention.
All right.
So,
here's a question.
Yeah.
Will you personally be a part of a class action lawsuit if one does come about after about the LPU scam?
It depends on the details, and it depends on what comes out. But I have the legal basis for it. A lot of us do. This is why, as the head of EFN, I'm very careful. If I'm expecting certain things, that's why you write up contracts. And I have a contract, and I have it signed by Sandy. So that means that I have the basis for a lawsuit. And I think a lot of us do. I think everybody who held a package deal has a basis for a lawsuit. I think all the VAs do, and their agents. and the fan musicians, everybody who was promised something by this convention, the artists. I think there's a really strong argument for it, which is why it's all the more important that the guys who ran LPU come out and come clean sooner than later and get independent confirmation. I'm not saying, let me make this clear, I'm not saying that Everfree Network or that Poison Joke is looking to sue right now. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that I have the legal basis for a lawsuit, and that if a class action suit does get put together, I'm not necessarily going to say no.
All right.
So,
what can we do to thank you all for helping us out with the recovery of this event? I don't ask that question to be facetious or anything.
No, I know. I got a lot of calls and text messages saying, "What can I do for you?" What I would say, don't do anything for EFN. Right now, the next step for this whole mess, for this whole catastrophe, this whole cluster, is we're going to be working, like I said, I'm working with Mike the Microphone, with the agents, to try and arrange some sort of, donation drive for the victims. This is a victim situation. And I think that what you can do is stay tuned for that and help out with the people who got burned. Yeah, exactly. And that's something I want to coordinate with all the media groups and with everyone, and I want to do that right. And I don't want to, and it's not going to be just me, it's going to be everybody, but I want to make sure that, for my part, because I am coordinating with them, that we do it the right way, and that we do it the organized way that nobody has any questions about, and that helps the most people. That's why I'm working with the actual musicians themselves, and we're going to try and come up with something that brings a little more positivity out of this. Let's get some more silver out of that lining, right? So I would ask, if you want to help EFN specifically, help the when we start announcing it, help the donation drives for the people who got burned. That's what I'd say.
All right, here's a question. I heard there's rumors the VAs were put into quote-unquote sweatshops on Sunday to sign autographs so they can be donated.
No, those weren't donated. The VA is basically, the agents talked to their VAs and they said, look, we need to somehow get something so that you can pay for your rooms. So they reduced the prices of autographs and of certain other things. They came up with a schedule of pricing that all the agents agreed on, and that money went straight to the VAs. Went straight to the agents and their VAs. So that was what that was. That was not towards anything else. It wasn't slavery. Those guys agreed to do it.
All right, I'm starting to really run out of questions here. Most of the questions now are not really related to LPU, or we're kind of starting to
goofy crap.
Hit into the favorite tree thing.
Oh God, Flutter Tree.
Yeah.
It's a weeping willow. I've already said.
I actually like those trees. Is the conclusion? Oh, here we go. Hold on. Some 4chaners were doing some number crunching, and they say, and I'm just going to cut right to it, and that puts the total from tickets to $130,000 for all the tickets that they sold, and $40,000 from the dinner, right?
Well, I don't know if it was 40, but it could have been.
Money shouldn't have been an issue at that point, unless I'm missing a big picture.
Well, hold on. I don't know how they did those numbers. I mean, there were, I think, an estimated 1,700 there, but that is a number I only heard once, and I've even heard that the organizers didn't know how many people were there.
I will link you to the source here, so you can.
But I've heard multiple times that that they must have raised over $100,000 one way or another, but I don't know the exact number. I don't know the cost of the venue, and I don't think it's. And I don't know if it's the. I'll look at that in a second. I don't know if it's the. I don't know what the arrangement with the VAs was. I should say too, guys, that that, as you guys probably know, the VAs don't ask exorbitant fees. This didn't happen because the VAs or something were asking obscenely high amounts of money. In fact, if you've noticed, Tara and, I mean, look, Peter's in the chat here, and everybody else, they never asked. They've said multiple times that it's not the fans' responsibility to cover what they're owed from the venue or from the event. It's not. I mean, you can hear I'm kind of getting run ragged here, but it's not. This didn't happen because they were asking unreasonable things or anything like that. That's not what happened. And beyond that, the event agreed and signed to the contracts or whatever they had with the agents before this happened, so they knew what the expenses were and they agreed to them. So
I think I already asked this one before. Just pretty much as a conclusion thus far that they are not con artists and that they just screwed up, which, like you said, remains to be seen.
I don't know until I see, an atonement, that's independently confirmed, or like basically until the numbers are out there. I don't know that any of us can assume anything. Because right now, there's some stuff that looks pretty scammy.
All right. Once again, we're starting to run out of questions here. Might want to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Last round here. If you have any questions, send them my way.
Oh, there's one that's been asked several times. When will the Unicon panel videos be posted? Very soon. Over the next few days. We'll be posting all of that.
All right. Let me look at these batch of questions I'm getting here. Is there anything the Unicon organizers can do to save face at this point? But like you said, own up to it.
No, they can't. They've ruined their reputation. I mean, it's like I said before, LPU is never happening again. I can't see how it would. The only thing they can do right now is try and prevent themselves from being branded as scam artists, and the only way to do that is to come clean about all of the expenses.
Well, here's a question. This is a good one. Would it be helpful or harmful to have mainstream media involved somehow?
Harmful. And the reason I say that is because mainstream media is already in general anti-brony and don't know the details of the circumstance. They'll blame the entire community somehow. I don't see that being helpful in any regard. Oh, Peter, you rock. He's saying thanks to us. Peter, I'm gonna have to talk to you soon. You rock.
I second that.
Yeah, and I should say this is a big shout out to all the VAs. They worked wonders.
Fantastic people.
They're amazing people.
Like, just drop the Brony stuff in general. They're just amazing human beings.
They really are. Hilarious human beings, even.
Yes, sir.
And that was one of the first things I learned when I started interviewing them and seeing them at these conventions. It's what makes these conventions going to, in my opinion, is getting to see these guys and talk to them and hang out, and they're just amazing.
I mean, when stuff like this goes down, it's, just drop the labels, drop everything. This is where you get to see good people combat the actions of those who are bad. So it's not even a Bernie thing. It's just good people trying their best to make the best out of a bad situation. So
exactly.
There's good people in this world, and that's why I love Bronies. There's lots of good people in this fandom, and I like to be around them and see what they do.
And it's not just in this fandom. The show creators, like you get the Sibsies and the Ravens and Jason Thiessen, Daniel Ingram, Stefan Andrews, Peter, Andrew, all of them, Britt, Tabitha, Tara, John Delancey, everybody. All of these guys who helped create the show are all... I mean, I think that's why the show is so great. I think that's why My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is such a great show.
It's very sincere.
It's such a confluence of positive, amazing talent and hard work. And they've been so appreciative and so kind to our community that, that's why I was happy we were able to do something to help them when this came down. I mean, and I know, and I should say too, again and again, from everyone I've talked to, that the agents and the VAs are incredibly appreciative of what the fandom was able to do, and they do not blame the fandom for what happened. It's the people who need to be blamed have already been named. So, I think that, I think
It's
that
the
kind of,
best and the worst of both situations where it sucks that this fandom and the staff were put in this situation, but damn it if they didn't rise to the challenge, right?
exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I've gone over it a million times. I also want to repeat too that actually I should give a shout out to Robert Picardo, who helped out in this circumstance, even though he's not involved with My Little Pony. He had an opportunity to help when we were trying to get the money to the people who needed it, and he took it. And as I said before in the stream, if you guys missed it, later this week, probably towards the weekend, I'm going to be recording an interview with Robert Picardo about this. So
Really?
you'll get to hear from him. Yes, you'll get to hear from him about this too. So, because he knows about the brony community and he's very supportive of us. Yeah. So anyway, are there any other questions right now?
Yeah, let me skim this last bit of questions and then we'll wrap it up. Um,
if you guys don't know, Robert Picardo is the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager. He also was in Stargate and a bunch of other
Didn't
things.
he have the shaved head?
He did.
He's
bald.
I know you're talking about. He's a cool guy.
He's amazing. He's an awesome actor, and I got a chance to talk to him, and he's such a nice guy.
I want to meet Patrick Stewart. Can we get Patrick Stewart on the show?
No, he's evil. No, I don't know.
Patrick Stewart is not evil.
Patrick Stewart doesn't age.
He doesn't. He's like Sean Connery. When you're a good Shakespearean actors like that, you just don't age at all.
Exactly.
I love it. All right. Are you even expecting to be contacted by Sandy or Eddie again?
I've already been. I got contacted by Eddie right before the stream. Within half an hour beforehand. And I told him exactly what I told you guys. He was asking me not to spread rumors, and I don't think I have been.
Nope, these are legit facts.
Yep.
And if there's anything speculation, we'll say this is speculation before we ask.
I suspect I'll hear from them again. I suspect we all will, because they have to keep in contact. This is the age of the internet, and you don't start a convention without putting down your information in enough places. They can't run. At some level,
social media.
At some level, I don't think they're going to try to run either. I think at some level they will have to, whether they like it or not, be held accountable. And it's just a matter of how they want to address that.
This fandom's too organized to let something like this go.
Exactly.
You picked the wrong fandom to mess with.
I'm not saying that people should attack them or accuse them or anything. Don't spread unfounded rumors, but we're owed answers. And I think we'll get them.
This fandom, I know it's love and tolerate. Let's put that to the side. Let's be patient and, quick to hear, quick to think, slow to wrath, so kind of thing. I just quote a Bible verse in this live stream.
You did what?
It's a Bible verse. All right.
That's not PG.
All right.
That's funny.
All right, let me keep looking. If this does hit the media, what can we do as bronies? And the question just jumped. Hold on. What can we do to bronies? What can we do to bronies? What can we do as bronies to let those who don't follow the pony news on a regular basis to still attend these cons and know things will turn out all right?
Just remind them that there were amazing conventions that have already happened. I mean, look, we got a documentary about BronyCon, right? This is a fluke. And I think we should remind them of, say, things like the Star Trek fandom and and anyone.
Your mic's down, by the way.
No.
Robotic giraffe, ladies and gentlemen.
No, what about now? Is it better?
Nope.
All right, give me a second. 1 second. This is what I get for being on a netbook.
I've been doing fine just so far. By the way, I'm going to read a tweet from MMA Larson in the meanwhile. All right, let me just do a quick check here. I was told that the stream just dropped a bit. Live stream. How do I sound right now? Is it just draft, or is it me, or how do I sound?
How about now?
It's just you at the moment. Keep talking.
I'm talking. How about now?
Yeah, it's just your voice. Can you replug your mic in or something?
I can try. Just one moment.
Close some programs, perhaps.
All right. keep them at bay for just 1 second.
I will do that. I want to read some tweets here, and I'll keep you all entertained. All right, so Amy Larson said, since Las Pegasus Unicon has no way of knowing about payments, I'll go full transparency. Outside of hotel and flight, I've been paid $0, and that was on February 26, 2013, so that was yesterday. There's another one here. Let me find it. And we'll do some, look for some tweets here. Oh, by the way, that $0 total includes both days of autographs. So, yeah, a lot of the people from the show have been screwed over. Every single person has been screwed over, except for the ones who are trying to scam out of it. So, I mean, all I can say is, personally, I mean, I was there watching these events unfold. I'll straight up say, oh, I think Draft's back here.
Yeah, how do I sound?
Not much better.
Okay, I have one other option, so it'll take me just a second.
That's fine. I can keep him entertained in the meanwhile. All right, guys. So my fanfic's pretty good. Chapter 1. All right, fix your thing up. All right, but yeah, I was there observing the entire time. That's what I do. I'm an observer. Just hanging out with Race Best, and I was behind the scenes for a lot of this. Not really involved because I didn't want to get in the way. Just kind of helping here and there when I can. But Race Best and I were kind of taking just an observer's approach. And a lot of...
Okay, how about now?
Talk some more.
King some more.
You sound much better. I think we're good.
Yay.
All right, we're good. All right, as we were saying.
All right, so people who are in the chat, I'm sorry, I can't watch the chat right now. My poor computer can barely handle.
A little bit laggy still.
All right, let's ask some last questions and maybe wrap this up.
All right, it might just be the time of your internet connection. I don't know. Any signals of a negative reaction, possibly from Hasbro?
I haven't heard anything yet. I think they just don't want to be associated with a mess, and I don't think that. I think that they understand that this is like other fandoms, that this sort of thing can happen, and as long as the guests are safe, and as long as it doesn't make My Little Pony as a brand look bad, I don't think they're worried about that.
Isn't there some kind of deal where the VAs and their agents work alone and not with Hasbro when it comes to these conventions?
I can't speak for their arrangements with Hasbro. That's between Hasbro and them, and that's kind of like a professional courtesy sort of thing. But I can say that, Hasbro, they know about bronies, and they know these conventions are happening. I think they just want to make sure that, that we aren't making My Little Pony look bad, and I don't think we've been doing that. And I don't think that even this did that.
All right. I think that's it for questions. This might be a good time to wrap it up. So, Draft, any closing words about this entire shindig?
Well, okay. I want to repeat that everything I've said in this podcast, in this emergency broadcast of sorts, is based entirely on the information I have. There may be more information that comes, and that may change, our understanding of what happened. So I want to repeat that there's a lot of stuff that may not have happened yet that I can't speak about because it hasn't happened yet, and there's a lot of information out there that we all need. My hope was that by having this broadcast today, since there were so many questions, that this helped clarify what happened at the convention, what was going on behind the scenes, for the sake of transparency, and what, basically I wanted to help give a better picture of what went on, and I hope that I did that. I will try and answer what questions I can on Twitter. I can't promise I'll answer everything just because I don't know that I'll get to everything, and I don't know everything either. I really want to make that clear. I was not in control of Las Pegasus Unicon in any regard. All I was a media a media guy streaming the event, and then when...
And he's dead. Ladies and gentlemen, I think he went offline there.
I'm back.
He's alive!
I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's being weird. Okay, so where did I cut out?
Talking about my fanfic.
I know. Basically, I tried to give what information I could. I hope that this answered some of your questions. I know it wouldn't answer everything, because I don't know everything. And I really think that the puzzle pieces are going to come together over... It's going to take months. This was a really big mess. So I want to repeat that, first of all,
Your voice
These are
is
the
fine, by
important.
the way. Your voice is doing better now.
Okay, that's good to hear. I want to say, first of all, that every dollar that was donated during the original drive at the convention went straight to the voice actors and the agents. And I should say, when I say the voice actors and the agents were the ones distributing the money. They didn't profit from this at all. It went entirely towards paying for the hotels and the airfare for the show staff. It didn't. It was a lot of money raised, which they are really appreciative of, but it only got about 90% of those expenses covered. So they're still out of pocket a little bit. It's a shame, but it's what it is. Every dollar went to that, though. Every single one. And you can confirm that with anyone you need to. The other media groups were there when I donated, or I should say when EFN donated that money. Not a single cent of that went anywhere else. So I want that to be absolutely clear. Second of all, the account it was transferred to, Robert Picardo's fan club account, is operated by John Delancey's agent. This was agreed upon by all of the agents all together, that this was the easiest way to transfer that money because it was a professional PayPal account, and as a result it wouldn't get shut down. It was a last minute thing where we only could do what we could do. We didn't intend for that address to become public, but that was something that Robert Picardo and John Delancey's agent talked to Robert about, and he agreed because of the emergency circumstances that was fine. That was something very generous he did on his part, and I will be speaking to him. We'll be speaking to him later this week, so you'll get to hear from Robert himself, and he can we'll discuss this in more detail then. Next, I want to repeat what I said earlier in the stream, and I want to make this utterly and absolutely clear. I do not know anything further about what money was spent by the convention towards what. I was never a part of their finances. I don't know where the money the cash they received during the convention went to. I don't know where the cash they received beforehand went to. I don't know how much they paid the hotel, and I don't know any of those details. But we all are owed those details. And I think until Las Pegasus Unicon's financial organizers come clean with the total numbers of expenses and amounts paid, and they get independent confirmation, and I really want to repeat this, they need independent confirmation from the agents on this, I think that there's a really good reason to believe that there's foul play at work here. I mean, I'm not trying to spread a rumor. I'm hoping they can disprove this, but if that information never comes out, then this looks like a scam. I want to really repeat again that this was not what happened at Las Pegasus with all of the the different media groups. We all worked together, and it was not just me or EFN that did the work on that Sunday. In fact, we did what we could, but there were tons of people who volunteered. Convention heads, convention PR staff, random attendees. It was a volunteer effort by the whole community there to make that work. And in no way am I, claiming that it's, this is some sort of EFN only sort of thing. It really wasn't. I also want to repeat that this whole circumstance, the whole donation drive and everything, that was coordinated between all of the agents and all of the media groups. So, Everfree Network, Derpy Hooves News, Celestia Radio, Equestria Daily, Ponyville Live, we all work together on this. I really want to make that clear. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should say right now. I'll try and answer what questions I can. Again, it's a matter of what I can see, what I can get to. My poor little netbook is very slow, so I'm not able to do as much as I would be able to usually. I'm getting my main computer repaired, though, so it'll happen. More information is going to come in over the next few days. The last and most important thing I want to point out and mention again is I am working right now with Mike the Microphone, as well as with the agents and the voice actors and the show staff, to come up with a comprehensive donation plan for the members of the community, like the musicians and the media, who got burned by this convention. And that's something that we will be making an announcement about, and that I'm going to be coordinating again with the other media groups to do. So please, if you are thinking of donating or whatever, wait for this to come out, because this is going to be awesome and it's going to go towards a great cause. So, I don't know. I think that's about it, isn't it, Saber?
I'm sorry, I'm falling asleep.
I know. Same here.
No,
I just got a message from Cowboy Dave.
Very well said. I think everything that needs to be said has been said. And just guys, just know that we're not trying to start rumors at all. We're trying to lay some to rest and get out the facts that need to be addressed. So just keep that in mind, and that's why this video is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. For that reason.
And I know I've only spoken about facts that I've seen, and I've theorized a bit here, but I know that once more facts are out there, we'll have a more accurate picture, and things are the perspective on this is gonna change a bit. But I think that the basic facts are pretty clear. We all got burned bad, and we need to rally together again as a community to make sure that that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, but that the people who were affected are helped. So, all right, well, I think that's about it.
Yes, sir, that is about it. Once again, thanks to Picture Kitties for letting us use your picture. It's amazing. Thanks to all of those who put their necks on the line on Sunday to recover and make this convention work and soften the blow. And just thanks to all those out there who are listening right now. Just keep an open mind and don't be don't be quick to act. There needs to be more evidence before we do anything. But just keep your ears open.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a good night, and I hope this laid some questions to rest. And I'm sure we'll all be talking about this forever.
This is definitely one of the more bigger pages of the history book for Bronies, but we've persevered this far. We can keep going.
We had the Council of Elrond. I think this is the part where we kind of, I think we got through the winding and whatever. I can't know anyway. Is it Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings quote here.
Swear it.
It's over, Sam. It's gone. It's finally finished.
And Sam's like, what, a piece of your finger?
Do you see it, Mr. Frodo? It'll be season 4 soon. The plush is running around the field. No, Sam. All I see is lawsuits and criminal action.
All I see is grimdark.
Hotel rents that haven't been paid for.
All I see is grimdark and self-insert.
Then let us be rid of it, once and for all. Come on, Bernie Phantom. I can't carry you, but I can't carry it for you. I don't know.
I can't carry you either. You're laden down with too much swag. Put down that dirty messenger bag. Put down that...
Brodies to climb so high. Oh, God, it's Sandy. No.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. It's terrible.
I know. Lord of the Rings, you've been summoned here to answer the threats of Unicon.
Oh, my God. All right, guys, you have a good night, and I'll talk to you again soon, all right?
Take care, guys. Thanks for coming out. Well, we're live.
Are we live?
We are live.
We're live?
Live.
Live. Okay, guys.
We never decided on an image to use.
I don't know. I like that one picture that Pixel Kitties came up with.
Which one?
The Twilight with the burning dress and all that.
Let me find this one then.
Okay, so guys, if you're listening to me, I'm going to sign in on the IRC right now. So just one moment.
So Pixel Kitties dress Twilight, huh?
And you'll have to excuse me, but right before this whole convention happened, my computer died, so I'm on a little netbook.
Little baby computer. My voice is gone, dang it.
All right. I'm in the chat. So. All right, well, can people hear us?
I believe so.
Okay, guys in the chat, can you hear us? Oh, they're all saying yes. Wonderful. All right, everybody. Oh, my goodness. All right, so everybody's asking, wow, okay, we're getting a lot of people. That's expected.
Yeah, it's be fun.
It's going to be, okay. So let me just start off here by saying that my voice is still a little bit gone because this convention was by far the most difficult event that I've had to handle, or work with handling, I should say, because it wasn't just me. But it was very, very stressful. And one of the things when you have a situation like this is that you have to talk to everyone, which means to use your voice like crazy. So I do want to let everybody know that I'm going to answer what I can. I came in and did this because I know there are still questions about this event. Everybody's wondering what the hell happened in Vegas. I don't know everything, but I do know a hell of a lot. I can say that. I know quite a bit. So I can try and clarify and answer what I can answer. There are going to be questions you guys are going to have that I just don't know the answer to. Like, for example, I can start off right now and say I had nothing to do with the finances for Las Pegasus Unicon. I had no idea where the money they took in went. I don't know what they paid to who. I get the feeling they didn't pay very much to anyone, but I don't know. I honestly don't. I'm not a part of that. I was never a part of that. So the only thing I know is what happened to donation money and who didn't get paid what, or who was screwed, or who was burned. That's the stuff I know.
I think I got an image we can use, actually.
You do?
Yeah, let me find it right here.
Okay.
Here we go.
I can't see it yet, so I'll wait to see it. But, so in the end, like I said, I only know what I only know. And if I say I don't know something, that's because, again, I was not a part. The only part I played, or that EFN played in organizing this convention, was in promoting it before it happened, broadcasting it while it happened, and I had a little bit to do with the scheduling. So, like, I helped develop some of the ideas for some of the panels. But beyond that, the funding, the negotiations they had, the venue, all of that was them. We're completely separate. So I have no say over anything to do with anything like that. So I just want to make that really clear, because I've had a lot of people come up and ask me questions like, well, what about what about this? Can why can't they do this? Why can't they do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. How much did they pay to the hotel? I have no idea. How much did they pay towards, the venue, AV crew? I don't know. I just don't, because I've never been told, and I never asked, because it wasn't my business at the beginning. What happened when you go into a convention, especially as a media group like myself, or if you look at Celestia Radio or Bronyville or EQD or any of the other groups that were there, because we were all there, our job is just to cover it. We come in, we bring our own equipment, but every time you have, this is a little bit of behind the scenes when it comes to conventions. If you're a convention and you're setting aside a block of rooms, let's say for your staff or for VIPs or whatever else, and it's a comped rate, it's a special rate, the way it works is that you have a card associated with that account, or some payment method associated. And most of the time, they'll charge at least half of the cost of those rooms to that card as a security thing. Now, rooms often have incidental charges that are applied to cards. In this case, at the Riviera, they charged $100 per room for incidentals. That means stuff like busting the TV, which hopefully you don't do, or let's say having room service, whatever else. That's normal. So when everybody came in for Las Pegasus, they, including EFN, they asked, okay, we need a card for incidental fees, and that would be refunded afterwards. So we used our cards, and the guests that had the packages used their cards to pay for incidental fees. And the Riviera, once they realized they weren't going to get paid by Las Pegasus, decided to charge the incidental cards for the rooms. I believe it's illegal. I spent half an hour arguing with their management, and I asked them, I said, how can you do this? Because I actually looked at the paperwork, and nowhere in the paperwork.
I loved your example you used, because you got into it with the manager about how corrupt this was and how ridiculous that they
you were there for that.
You said it's like me going to a bar saying drinks are on her, and then her being like, I didn't say that. So it's not fair that you can just trick all these people. I don't know. It's very unprofessional by the Riviera.
No, it's beyond unprofessional. It's criminal. I had a what is it? I had I had a long rant at them. But when I signed in, when I came into the Riviera on the Wednesday night and I put down my credit card, I said explicitly, this is not for the room cost. The room is covered by the convention, right? And they went and they talked to their management and they said, oh, yeah, no, it's covered by the convention. This is just for incidentals. And I looked at the paperwork because I'm careful about this stuff. The paperwork said it was for incidentals, and they still charged my card. The thing is, I asked them, I said, how can you do this? Why don't you charge the card that was associated with the convention? They said, we never had one. This is unheard of. Okay.
That's just absolutely insane. I don't even know.
They never had one. They were never given a card or a form of payment or anything. And I would love to know how they made this arrangement.
Yeah, but promises?
It's somebody either was bribed or somebody was like promised something. I have no idea. It's inexplicable. By the way,
let me toss him one.
It's inexplicable. No, I got to finish this really quick, Saber. This is an inexplicable occurrence. This is something that is grounds for lawsuit. I think that it's frustrating to me because I told them, I'm like, what kind of a business do you think you are? You know, you're basically illegally charging people for rooms. I had people suggest that I cancel my credit card, and, so that the room wouldn't get charged or whatever. But the thing is, part of paying for incidentals and confirming the card was writing down a street address. So they have my street address. So if I cancel the card, they could still send a bill my way or try and pursue it legally or something. And between you guys and me, the cost of lawyers and lawsuits and everything else would be way more than what I would have paid for the room in the first place. I don't know, I don't know if there was a real good solution here, but this happened to everyone. This happened not just to me. This happened to the Kriebers. This happened to the McKillips. This happened to Mark Oliver. This happened to everybody who was staying at that hotel. Every person who was supposed to be compensated. And it happened to all of the musicians. It happened to the, It happened to the, the package holders operated through John Delancey's agent, who everybody respects. And that business account, again, because business PayPal accounts are hard to set up, that also concurrently was Robert Picardo's fan club account. Now, originally that wasn't supposed to get out publicly, but of course when you're live streaming the donation of a ton of money, it's hard not to get an image out there. That agent had talked to Robert Picardo. And if you guys don't know who Robert Picardo is, he's an actor. He's actually awesome. He's my favorite character from Star Trek Voyager. He was the Doctor. And Robert Picardo said, yeah, by all means, because the Star Trek community has had events that have done this too. Star Trek conventions that go belly up, and nobody has any, funds, and everybody's screwed, burned. And so Robert Picardo said, no, I've been there. Please use the account if it makes things easier. And so that was really generous on his part. I mean, he's an awesome guy. So we made that donation, and it got out there, and they were like, well, wait a second. Why is the money being donated to Robert Picardo? It wasn't. The account was being used by his agent, who happens to also be John Delancey's agent, to distribute the funds to all of the agents so that each of the different guests got their travel expenses covered at the very least. So and actually I can announce this. This is kind of cool. I'm going to be interviewing Robert Picardo about this later this week. And I don't know if that's going to be live. I think it's going to be recorded, but we're going to get that out there. So you'll get to hear from him about it. Because he knows about the community, and he really thinks it's awesome what we're doing. And it was really generous on his part. Again, business PayPal accounts are hard to set up. And given that this was a minute-by-minute sort of thing, we had to work with what we did. So, yeah. Anyway, I talked to him on the phone about this, and he's so cool. I mean, he's such a cool guy, and I have to admit, I was geeking out a little bit when I was talking to him because I love the Doctor. So, anyway, I hope that kind of clarifies a little bit, but like I said, we'll be having a quick interview with him coming out later this week so that you guys can hear from him about it too, so that there's no questions about this, because it is a complex situation, and I know there are all these weird questions about it. All right. I've just ranted a bunch, didn't I, Saber?
Oh, wait, we weren't even live yet.
Shut up.
We're ready for some questions?
Yeah, I can take some questions.
All right, we got a ton of them. And one of the most popular questions so far, and for my fun apparently, is what do you think about the press release from Las Pegasus Unicon?
I think the press release from Las Pegasus Unicon doesn't help anything. I mean, honestly, I think that what they need to do, and I got a phone call right before this stream because they knew they know I'm doing this. In fact, I suspect they're listening right now.
Hi, Sandy.
Well, it's not just Sandy, but I think they need to come clean about all their finances. They need to explain where the money where the money went. You know, like where did the money how much was paid to the hotels? How much wasn't paid to the hotels? How much was paid towards the voice actors and the writers or whatever? Where did the money that came in go? Because there are a lot of questions. One of the saddest things that I've heard about is the people who bought the package deals, like the founders package deals. They paid $1,500 or $1,200, and part of those deals was that you were going to get a comped room, sometimes a suite. If you bought a package deal, you got a comped suite. Well, the way they had it set up, those rooms weren't comped. Even though these guys paid out of pocket for a room, they had to pay again for the room. And that's actually something else I want to address really quickly, which is that people are wondering, well, how is it that these guests are getting, and these VIPs are getting charged for the rooms? The Riviera Hotel, the venue, did something utterly and completely unprofessional, and something that I think that is grounds for lawsuits, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. My discussion with agents is that about 90% of those expenses were covered by that, and you have to understand that the agents and the voice actors are unbelievably grateful for what the community did to help them out. I mean, I think it was something we needed to do because these guys create the show we love. And as a community, it's our responsibility to make sure that they're taken care of. It's not our responsibility to bail out conventions. We never did that. Every dollar that was raised did not go to Las Pegasus. Not a single cent of it went to them. It went straight towards one agent who agreed with all the other agents to distribute the funds. This was actually an unprecedented meeting of the agents. So, when you guys...
for a quick second?
Yeah.
The live stream, I had to re-log into it, and it froze on me. Like, I can't log in at the moment with my screen or password. So, if you all want to ask me questions, and maybe one of our moderators can do this, go to my Twitter. I know it's kind of a hassle, but go ask me questions there, and I can sift through them and find them for draft and ask him.
Yeah, I mean, so they can still hear me, right?
They can still hear you. You're fine. I just can't log into the stream and actually look at what people are typing about. So, as you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so they're entirely grateful. The money that was raised, and you guys saw this, we did this on the live stream. We live streamed us sending the money to one of the agents' accounts on PayPal. And I should clarify this too, because there's been some questions about this too. What happened was a last minute thing. We needed a last minute, instantaneous way to try and bail people out. And so we needed the best possible method, which was business accounts on PayPal. You can talk to all the other media groups. Saturday night at I guess it was Sunday morning at 1 a.m. Saber was there. I was there. Chef Sandy, Apple Cider. Chef Sandy wasn't at the convention, unfortunately, but Apple Cider was there. Sathisto, PK, Serial, everybody was there. All these media groups were in a room with all of the agents, and we were told, okay, the VAs and the show staff guests are screwed. The convention decided not to pay them. They just couldn't. And so at that moment, we needed to come up with a system to try and raise donations. That was something that they said, look, is there anything the community can do? What do you think we should do? And all of the different media groups all at once said, we can start a drive. That's why the next morning you saw that there was a unified announcement across all the different groups.
That was amazing, by the way.
Yeah. We needed to have an account ready to go. So the only business accounts we knew of, or the only business account we had set to go that was not an agent's account, was a business account that one of the members of EFN had just set up already. Now, why is it important to have a business account? Because if you get a ton of donations on a regular PayPal account, PayPal will shut it down because it will think it's a fraud. Business accounts have a little bit more flexibility with that, and that takes time to set up, and that takes registration and confirmations, etc. So we used the account that was available. Once we had set that up, we were in war mode. So we were basically, do this. We didn't have time to, set up another account or something. We had to use what we had. After the day of the Sunday of donations, I talked to all of the different agents. I said, look, we've amassed this sum from the community. These guys have done what they can. What do we do with this money? Because I'm not responsible for that money. I'm like, EFN, we were using the account as a tool, but we didn't want to have anything to do with the distribution of the money. So the agents talked together and they agreed on making a payment towards an account that is, and we cover it as best we can. But that does not mean that we work for the convention. In fact, quite different. We make sure that there's a professional separation, just because stuff like this might happen, and that's not our responsibility. You guys might remember BronyCon last summer, and there was that light that caught fire. That was hilarious. And we went out and we filmed the fire. We filmed the reaction. That's because we're media. We're news. So we're trying to keep a objective perspective. So, yeah, I do coordinate and talk to the conventions beforehand, but I don't have any say over, their financial decisions whatsoever. I see the picture.
I switched it up to the other one, but Rob had another one where it had an airplane made of money burning and flying to the ground.
That's just, oh my god. Wow. All right, so I think maybe the best way to go about this, and Saber, you think that are you in the IRC chat?
Yo, let me just get organized here real quickly.
Guys, again, I am sorry that if my audio sounds a little weird or if I'm a little bit slow to react, is because my computer, I'm running off of my backup netbook, which was never intended to do any of this. Right before this convention happened, I went and tweeted and complained about this. My computer exploded.
Exploded? Is that even a word?
All right, I just got a question. I should tell people that pretty soon here, I'm going to ask that you PM questions, private message questions to Saber, not me, because my computer might explode. But Starstream asks, I want to ask what happens right now. You guys still stuck in Vegas? The answer is no. I'm home. I'm back in Minneapolis, and people got home. If somebody is still stuck in Vegas, I'd like to know, because I think that travel was separate from the expenses they were supposed to be covering. So,
before we start draft and go head on to this, let me do a quick check. Draft, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, hey, live stream, how do we sound right now?
Okay, Wubbin Tolerates asking, what happened to the VAs and how were they affected? That's a big question. So here's the answer. The VAs, okay, any of the show staff that appear at conventions, they do so by arranging with the convention beforehand. This has been true of every convention that's happened so far. So BronyCon, Everfree Northwest, Carolina Gardens, Equestria LA, all of these other conventions, everybody has always made arrangements in advance. When you want to book a voice actor convention, you have to talk to their agent. That's just normal. That's how things are done. That's their job. The agent's job is to deal with that. Conventions standardly cover travel, accommodations, and then appearance fees in a very basic sense. And none of those things were covered by the convention in this case. They were completely... on Saturday night, they found out they were going to get nothing. They were paying out of pocket to that point because they were told they were going to be reimbursed, and that didn't happen. So they basically, all these guests that showed up had nothing given to them whatsoever. They agreed to appear at an event and to pay out of pocket because they were promised they were going to be paid back, and that didn't happen. So, on a basic level, we raised $12,000 during that drive for the show guests. $12,000 plus there was about $3,000 raised from discounted autographs and pictures, etc., in the actual autograph room at the event as well. So a grand total of $15,000 was raised. That $15,000 almost pays for the travel and accommodations for all of the VIPs that showed up. I should say, and by VIPs I mean show staff. So the voice actors, writers, that stuff. My understanding from